Chapter 3984. Shouted the white-haired old man furiously. He used all his strength to block the attack. However, Lu Ming had already dashed into the gale and launched a fierce attack. Lu Ming and Qiu joined hands, holding a silver spear and attacking the old man. The long silver spear was very powerful with the help of the great god Wind skill and the great shattering skill. If the white-haired elder was at his peak, Lu Ming would not be able to do anything to him. However, at this moment, the other party was seriously injured and he had to use all his strength to resist the attack of Lai Feng. The silver spear successfully broke through the white-haired old man's defense and pierced through his body. Then, with a jolt of the spear, a destructive power burst out and the white-haired old man's body was torn apart. Even his soul couldn't escape. A cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer had died. At that moment, the cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer from the Flying Star sect finally arrived and started attacking Lu Ming. He condensed starlight into a starlight saber and slashed it down. Bam bam bam. The starlight saber collided with the gale. The gale shook violently, and the starlight saber created a small crack in it. After all, Lu Ming had focused all his energy on the old man, so the gale wasn't that strong. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had already killed the white-haired elder and had recovered. Die! Lu Ming hollered. Another gust of terrifying gale rushed out of the gale pearl. A strong wind crashed against the cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer. His starlight shook violently and broke apart. He had the same fate as the white-haired old man, coughing up blood. He was badly injured and sent flying backwards. Damn! Shouted the old man furiously. He didn't want to fight against Lu Ming anymore. Instead, he retreated to the other cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer from the Flying Star sect. He knew that he couldn't defeat Lu Ming alone. He would end up like the old man, killed by Lu Ming. That little boy only has one deadly weapon, but with his cultivation level, he won't be able to defeat him in a few attacks. One more person, kill him. Shouted someone from the Flying Star sect. Do you think we're useless? Use your full strength. Shouted the cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer from the Yunhua pavilion. They also used their full strength to attack. Each of them entangled an opponent and launched a frenzied attack, making it impossible for their opponents to free up their hands. They knew that it was the most important moment to win. As long as Lu Ming killed another cultivator of the 8th layer God Emperor realm and helped them, they would be able to win the battle. It was a matter of life and death, of course, they had to fight. Not only were the people from the Yunhua pavilion fighting with their lives on the line, but the people from the Flying Star sect were also fighting with their lives on the line. However, in that case, it would be difficult for the Flying Star sect to deal with Lu Ming. As for Lu Ming, he was going after the expert of the 8th God Emperor realm who had attacked him. With the help of the great godly wind technique and the strong gale, Lu Ming turned into a hurricane. He was extremely fast, chasing after the cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer. The cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer had been injured by Lu Ming, so he was much slower now. He was surrounded by the strong gale. He couldn't escape. He shouted and tried his best to break free, but he couldn't escape. Boom! Lu Ming released a terrifying strong gale, which turned into a tornado and moved towards his opponent. His opponent used his full strength to block it, but he was severely injured. His qi was weak, and his life was hanging by a thread. Die! Lu Ming wanted to use his strongest attack. How dare you! There was a furious roar in the starry sky. Then, a starry sword gleam pierced through the air and slashed toward Lu Ming. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming had a bad feeling about that attack. The patriarch of the Flying Star sect had attacked. He had attacked Lu Ming while he was fighting against the leader of the Yunhua pavilion. I'm your opponent. Shouted the leader of the Yunhua pavilion furiously. Rumbling sounds spread in the sky. However, that starry sword gleam still slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no choice but to give up on attacking the cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer. He used his full strength to block the Starlight Sword. A strong wind rolled out and collided with the Starlight Sword. A cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer was much stronger than a cultivator of the 8th Godly Emperor layer. But the Patriarch of the Flying Star sect was fighting against the leader of the Yunhua Pavilion, so he couldn't use his full strength. The cultivator of the 8th Godly Emperor layer from the Flying Star sect took advantage of that opportunity to retreat. Unfortunately, he was too injured. He couldn't escape. Lu Ming grunted icily. His silhouette flickered and he quickly caught up with him. "I'll send you to hell," said Lu Ming coldly. A strong wind rolled in waves. "Aya!" A horrible shriek spread in the air. The second cultivator of the 8th Godly Emperor layer from the Flying Star sect had died in Lu Ming's hands. The other cultivators of the Flying Star sect were astonished. Lu Ming had killed 2 cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer by himself. The balance between the two sides had been broken. Swish! Lu Ming moved towards the cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer. "Gather! Gather! Use your full strength to defend. Wait for the Patriarch to finish them off, then we'll win," shouted a cultivator of the 8th Godly Emperor layer from the Flying Star sect. "Gather! Defend!" shouted the other cultivators of the Flying Star sect. While fighting, they slowly moved and gathered with the other cultivators of the Flying Star sect. Very quickly, the 12 cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer from the Flying Star sect gathered together and used their full strength to defend. Lu Ming released a strong wind, but the 12 cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer gathered together and formed a sphere. Surprisingly, the strong wind couldn't break through their defense. The other cultivators of the Yunhua Pavilion also attacked, but they couldn't break through their defense. "Should I use the Xian Ice Rod?" whispered Lu Ming. If he used the Xian Ice Rod, it would definitely be more powerful than the Zephyr Pearl. It could probably break through the defense of the cultivators of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. But there were too many people there. If someone saw that the Xian Ice Rod was extraordinary, it would be troublesome. Afterward, Lu Ming looked into the depths of the starry sky. In the depths of the starry sky, 2 cultivators of the 9th Godly Emperor layer were fighting. They were so fast that they looked like 2 beams of light. They kept colliding with each other. Ordinary people couldn't see them clearly. But Lu Ming could see them clearly. He frowned. The leader of the Yunhua Pavilion and the Patriarch of the Flying Star sect were fighting fiercely. It seemed like they were evenly matched, but in fact, the leader of the Yunhua Pavilion was at a disadvantage. Otherwise, the Patriarch of the Flying Star sect wouldn't have had time to attack Lu Ming. In a short time, it was difficult to determine the winner, but in a long time, the leader of the Yunhua Pavilion would definitely lose. Translator, Transin Editor, Transin. Chapter 3985. Maybe I should try to break through to the 9th Godly Emperor layer. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. He then soared into the sky and dashed into the starry sky. The others were astonished. What is he doing? Does he want to get involved in a battle of the 9th Godly Emperor layer? He's overestimating himself. Even though he can kill cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer with his deadly weapon, he can't compete with cultivators of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. He wants to die. Great. Great. I hope the Patriarch can kill him. That way, we'll have a chance to win. The members of the Flying Star sect were overjoyed. The members of the Yunhua Pavilion were astonished. Oh no. He's too impulsive. After all, he's too young. The people of the Yunhua Pavilion were shocked. They felt that it was unwise for Lu Ming to go to the battlefield of the 9th-level God Emperors. If he was not careful, he would be killed by the 9th-level God Emperors. But it was too late to stop him. Lu Ming was already in the air. He released a strong wind towards the Patriarch of the Flying Star sect. "Little boy, you want to attack me? You're overestimating yourself," shouted the Patriarch of the Flying Star sect icily. Starlight appeared around him and a starlight sword emerged from his body and moved towards the strong wind. Rumbling sounds spread in the air. The starlight sword and the strong wind collided, and then they both disappeared. "Brother Mu Yun, hurry up and move away," shouted the patriarch of the Yunhua pavilion. He was worried too. Lu Ming could use his deadly weapon. Even though he was strong, he couldn't get involved in a battle of the 9th godly emperor layer. If the patriarch of the Flying Star sect used his full strength, Lu Ming would be in danger. "Don't worry. I'll help you kill him," said Lu Ming calmly. He even smiled at the patriarch of the Yunhua pavilion. "Ha ha ha. You want to kill me? Die," said the patriarch of the Flying Star sect, laughing furiously. A terrifying chi emerged from his body. Starlight filled the air. At that moment, the stars in the sky were shining. Then, a shocking scene appeared in the starry sky of the universe. Starlight condensed into swords. They released a terrifying chi and moved towards Lu Ming and the patriarch of the Yunhua pavilion. Stellar Cycle Sword, kill! The sect master of the Flying Star sect roared and pressed his hands down. At least hundreds of huge starry sword lights shot towards Lu Ming and the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion. "Back off!" The pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion roared. He also attacked with all his might. In an instant, he blasted out hundreds of palms. Hundreds of huge palm prints blasted out, wanting to block those starry divine swords. However, there were too many starry divine swords. The pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion could not block them all. If he were alone, these starry heavenly swords wouldn't be able to do anything to him. However, Lu Ming was nearby. He wanted to free himself to save Lu Ming, but he didn't have the strength to do so. He could only hope that Lu Ming would be able to avoid it. However, Lu Ming did not dodge. Instead, he charged toward the Flying Star sect leader. Not good. The pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion was shocked and his expression changed drastically. As for the sect leader of the Flying Star sect, a ferocious expression appeared on his face. Whoosh whoosh. Lu Ming continued to guide the energy within the Gale Pearl towards the starry sword lights, colliding with them continuously. However, this was a killer move that the sect master of the Flying Star sect had unleashed with all his might. It was extremely powerful and was even more powerful than the Gale Pearl. In the end, the Gale Pearl was continuously slashed apart. The remaining power of the starry sword lights continued to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body was wrapped in a gust of wind. He flashed continuously and dodged the attacks of the starry sword lights. Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. Some of the starry sword lights were successfully dodged. "Die, brat!" The sect master of the Flying Star sect roared ferociously. Many more starry sword lights slashed towards Lu Ming. However, most of his strength was still used to deal with the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion. He could not use his full strength against Lu Ming. He could only use a portion of his strength. Lu Ming used all his strength to guide the power of the Gale Pearl. He blocked some of the attacks and successfully dodged some of them. The sect master of the Flying Star sect looked glum. Lu Ming was even more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. He was extremely fast and slippery. It was difficult to hit him. Pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion, use your full strength. Use your strongest attack against the sect master of the Flying Star sect. At that moment, Lu Ming said to the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion telepathically. What? The pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion was surprised. Use your full strength to attack and pin down the sect master of the Flying Star sect. I am confident that I can injure him severely. Lu Ming continued to talk to the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion telepathically. The pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion was astonished. Did Lu Ming still have trump cards that he had not used? Could a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer really have a way to injure a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer? However, he thought of the heavenly palace. The heavenly palace would not have sent these people for no reason. They must have thought of something. At that moment, it seemed like only Lu Ming could play a key role. The others had not performed well yet. All right. At that moment, he could only choose to believe in Lu Ming. Come on, old dog of the Flying Star sect. Let's fight to the death, shouted the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion. Dazzling divine light shone from his body as he raised his energy to the maximum. Celestial cloud finger, shouted the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion as he pointed his finger. Boundless divine light turned into a boundless finger and pointed at the sect master of the Flying Star sect. Great, I can kill you now, shouted the sect master of the Flying Star sect. He gathered boundless starlight and turned it into a gigantic divine sword. He used his strongest attack and slashed the divine sword at the boundless finger. Of course, the sect master of the Flying Star sect still had some tricks up his sleeve. He had set up a dozen layers of starlight around him to defend himself against Lu Ming. Whoosh! 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 Lu Ming took advantage of the opportunity to draw out the gale from the gale pearl and attack the sect master of the Flying Star sect. However, when the gale hit the starlight around the sect master of the Flying Star sect, it was blocked by the starlight. You want to break my defense with the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer? Ridiculous, sneered the sect master of the Flying Star sect. At the same time, the sect master of the Flying Star sect and the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion's strongest attacks collided and dazzling lights exploded. Half of the starry sky was covered by the dazzling lights and people couldn't open their eyes. At that moment, Lu Ming's eyes glittered coldly. Now's the time. A long staff appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was the Xian Ice Staff. The forbidden power surged madly into the mysterious ice staff. The mysterious ice staff grew rapidly and turned into a giant staff that was bigger than a mountain. Boom! Lu Ming held the Xian Ice Staff and threw it at the sect master of the Flying Star sect. The void shattered under the bombardment of the mysterious ice staff. The sect master of the Flying Star sect frowned as he sensed danger. If he had been at his peak, he wouldn't have taken the attack seriously. He was confident that he could block it. However, he had just used his strongest attack to resist the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion. He didn't have the strength to fight back. Boom! The Xian Ice Staff bombarded the sect master of the Flying Star sect and the starlight around his body. Chapter 3986. The mysterious ice rod, which was bigger than a mountain, struck the sect leader of the Flying Star sect's protective starlight and exploded. The sect leader of the Flying Star sect's body shook violently and his protective starlight shattered one after another. More than a dozen layers of protective starlight shattered. The huge mysterious ice rod landed heavily on the sect leader of the Flying Star sect. He screamed in pain and his body flew out, smashing a few large meteorites into pieces. He flew out for hundreds of millions of miles. Blood spurted out and dyed the starry sky red. Many of his bones were broken and he was severely injured. He was too careless. He did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly unleash such a terrifying attack. If he had been prepared, he would not have been in such a miserable state. After sending the sect leader of the Flying Star sect flying, Lu Ming immediately put away the mysterious ice rod. On the other side, the Yunhua pavilion master was stunned. He did not expect the sect leader of the Flying Star sect to be severely injured all of a sudden. Of course, he knew that it was Lu Ming who attacked. However, he did not see how Lu Ming attacked. This was because when his attack collided with the sect leader of the Flying Star sect, there was a light that was 100 times more dazzling than the sun. He could not see it clearly. He could only vaguely see a huge shadow of a rod that sent the sect leader of the Flying Star sect flying and then disappeared. Pavilion Master Yunhua, he is not dead yet. Seize the opportunity. Lu Ming's voice rang in the ears of the Yunhua Pavilion Master. The Yunhua Pavilion Master seemed to have woken up from a dream and threw all distracting thoughts to the back of his mind. His body flashed and he charged towards the sect leader of the Flying Star sect. The distance of hundreds of millions of miles was covered in an instant. Huge palm prints blasted towards the sect leader of the Flying Star sect. The sect leader of the Flying Star sect roared and flew out from a meteorite. He emitted starlight and resisted with all his might. However, he had been hit by Lu Ming earlier and his injuries were very serious. He had less than 50% of his full strength and was no match for the pavilion master of the Yunhua pavilion. In just a few moves, he was coughing blood and his injuries had worsened. At this moment, Lu Ming summoned a gust of strong wind and formed a tornado that swept towards the sect leader of the Flying Star sect. "You treacherous little bastard, I'll kill you." The sect master of the Flying Star sect roared as he pounced toward Lu Ming. He truly hated Lu Ming to the core. Lu Ming was really too sinister. He obviously had a stronger killing weapon, but he didn't use it before. He waited until Lu Ming had underestimated him before suddenly using it, catching him off guard and causing him to be heavily injured by Lu Ming. If Lu Ming had taken out that killer weapon from the start, he would have been on guard and would not have fallen into such a predicament. However, he was very weak now. When his attack collided with the gale, it actually did not break through the gale. At this moment, the Cloud Moon Pavilion's Pavilion Master's attack arrived, and a palm landed on the Flying Star sect master's body. The Flying Star sect master's body exploded, and only his head remained as he madly fled. Sect master, at this moment, one of the experts from the Flying Star sect felt a chill in his heart. His face was ashen. Boom! Rumbling sounds spread in the starry sky as a gigantic hand appeared and enveloped the Flying Star sect master's head. The Flying Star sect master's head exploded, and his soul was annihilated. The sect master, a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer, had been annihilated by Lu Ming. The sect master has died. Retreat! Retreat! When the Flying Star sect master had been killed, the remaining cultivators of the Flying Star sect were terrified. Some of them shouted in fear and retreated. Boom! In the starry sky, a gigantic hand descended from the sky and bombarded a cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer who wanted to escape. That cultivator's body exploded and he died. The Cloud Moon Pavilion's pavilion master had attacked. Ordinary cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer could only die in a flash against cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. Set up the formation, defend! Shouted the remaining cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer of the Flying Star sect. The remaining 11 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer gathered together and used their full strength to defend themselves. Layers of defensive lights surrounded them. Humph! You think you can stop me? Today, the Flying Star sect will be destroyed. The Cloud Moon Pavilion's pavilion master appeared and pointed at them. That was his strongest attack, the celestial cloud finger. A gigantic finger moved towards the 11 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer of the Flying Star sect. At the same time, the 12 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer of the Cloud Moon Pavilion also released their strongest attacks to help the Cloud Moon Pavilion's pavilion master. Boom! The attacks of the 13 cultivators of the Flying Star sect crashed against the Flying Star sect's formation. Rumbling sounds spread in the air as the 11 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer of the Flying Star sect were blown apart. The 11 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer were blown away like meteors. They all coughed up blood and their faces were deathly pale. Die! Shouted the Cloud Moon Pavilion's pavilion master. He threw 2 punches and killed 2 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer. The cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer of the Cloud Moon Pavilion also attacked. They kept releasing all sorts of deadly attacks. In the distance, Lu Ming was standing calmly in the air. He didn't continue fighting. He didn't need to fight anymore. The balance between the two sides was broken. The Flying Star sect was doomed. 2 cultivators of the 8th godly emperor layer had died in his hands. That was enough for him to pass the exam. Because among the remaining people, no one could compare to him. On the vast battlefield, the killing continued. However, it was a one-sided battle. The people of the Flying Star sect were running for their lives. The people of the Cloud Moon Pavilion were chasing them. Apart from Lu Ming, there were 4 other people from the Heavenly Palace who were going to take the exam. Those 4 people were also chasing the people of the Flying Star sect. They knew that Lu Ming would definitely take one spot. The 4 of them could only compete for one spot. The battle lasted for more than half a day before it finally came to an end. In the end, the Flying Star sect suffered a crushing defeat. 80% of the cultivators of the 7th Godly Emperor layer of the Flying Star sect had died. 50 to 60% of the cultivators of the 1st Godly Emperor layer to the 6th Godly Emperor layer had died. The rest had either surrendered or escaped. After that, the Yunhua Pavilion led an army to attack the Flying Star sect's territory and occupied it. However, Lu Ming and the others didn't get involved because the sky official had appeared and taken them away. In the starry sky, you've done well this time. The Flying Star sect has been destroyed. Your mission is complete. Now, take out your jade talismans and let me have a look, said the sky official. He didn't mention the people who had disappeared. It was normal for some people to die during the exam. Lu Ming and the others gave their talismans to the sky official. The sky official took them, scanned them with his spiritual awareness and nodded. Mu Yun, you passed the exam. Take the talisman, said the sky official. Then, he gave the talisman back to Lu Ming. Yao Feng, you passed the exam. Take the talisman, said the sky official, giving a talisman to another young man. Chapter 3987. The other 3 were disappointed by the sky official's announcement. The 3 of you have failed the test. I'll take back the jade talismans. Go do what you need to do. The sky official waved his hand, and a wave of energy swept up Lu Ming and Yao Feng, leaving behind the 3 of them to weep at each other. The sky official moved very quickly, bringing Lu Ming's group back to Dream Sky City and into a large hall. This hall was extremely vast and exuded an incomparably dense divine qi that was even denser than many cultivation holy lands. Lu Ming saw quite a few people sitting cross-legged in the hall, cultivating. Cultivate here for now. Once everyone has arrived, the next round of the test will begin, and it will also be the final test. Those who complete it will become true celestial soldiers. The sky official explained, and then he added, relax, no one will dare to attack you while you cultivate here. With these words, the sky official drifted away. Brother Mu, please. Yao Feng cupped his fists to Lu Ming and then drifted away, meeting up with several others on the other side of the hall. It was clear that these people were from the same clan as Yao Feng. As they gathered together, they began to whisper to each other. Several of the youths would occasionally glance in Lu Ming's direction, disbelief and shock in their eyes. Lu Ming faintly smiled and ignored them. He went to an open space on the side of the hall, sat down cross-legged, and began to meditate on the great demon sword art. He had originally wanted to cultivate other secret arts of the demonic path, but ordinary secret arts of the demonic path would turn into secret art runes that would fuse into his cells, making them too eye-catching. Thus, Lu Ming chose to meditate on the great demon sword art. Lu Ming had long since memorized the great demon sword art, but comprehending it was not something that could be done in a short time. This was the perfect place to do so. As time passed, more and more people gathered in the hall. It was clear that more and more people had finished watching the first round of the test. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt his skin tighten. Killing intent. Lu Ming abruptly opened his eyes. His gaze was like lightning as he looked in a certain direction. There was a group of people in that direction. There were more than 10 of them. There were both men and women, and they were all handsome. The women were beautiful, and they could compete with the elves. However, these people were all dressed in white robes that faintly emitted holy light. Angels. At one glance, Lu Ming knew that these people were from the angel tribe. Although he didn't extend his angelic wings, the signs of life were too obvious. Whoosh! More than a dozen young angels stepped towards Lu Ming. They arrived in front of Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming's face was calm as he sat there, unmoving. The sky official had said that no one would dare to make a move here, including the members of the 10 strongest races. Mu Yun. One of the taller angel youths said coldly. His golden hair danced in the wind like a mad lion. What's up? Lu Ming looked up and said indifferently. You're really bold. Someone like you dares to challenge young Master Gabbert? There's no need for him to make a move. The next time I see you, I'll beat you to death. The golden-haired angel prodigy said. Let me give you a piece of advice. It's best if you don't make a move blindly. Otherwise, you'll be the ones to die. Lu Ming said, his face still calm. The young angels sneered, their eyes cold. Then we'll see. The angel youth left behind a cold murderous aura and then stepped away. By the side, many people glanced at Lu Ming. I heard that when Mu Yun was with the elves, he challenged Gabbert of the angel race. They agreed to fight 1,000 years later. I heard that too. This matter has caused quite a stir in the universe. Do you think Mu Yun can fight Gabbert 1,000 years later? How is that possible? That's completely impossible. Even if Mu Yun's talent isn't inferior to Gabbert's, his cultivation is too far away from Gabbert's. How can he catch up in 1,000 years? Indeed, 1,000 years will pass in the blink of an eye. It's too short. Many people were discussing. However, some people also looked at Lu Ming curiously but didn't comment. These people were generally prodigies from some of the top 10 races, such as the prodigies of the top 10 races. Excuse me. At this moment, a young man of 15 or 16 years old, wearing a loose Taoist robe, flashed and walked toward Lu Ming. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. Dandan. He didn't expect to meet again after parting on the dragon race's mother planet. However, he didn't see Bubbles. Dandan came to Lu Ming's side and then sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Brother, you actually dared to go against those stupid birds of the angel race. Well done, I support you. Dandan naturally couldn't recognize Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming was in his current body, his life origin aura was completely different. He continued, to be honest, I've been unhappy with those stupid birds for a long time. Back on the dragon race's mother planet, those stupid birds dared to bully one of my underlings. I've long wanted to deal with them. How about it, let's join forces. Lu Ming's face darkened. Wasn't the underling this guy was talking about him? Back on the dragon race's mother planet, there was an angel race powerhouse who cooperated with the Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace to deal with Lu Ming. Brother, why is your face so dark? Could it be that you're actually afraid of those stupid birds? Dandan continued, trying to provoke him. I'm afraid that you're not qualified to join forces with me. Lu Ming sneered. Swish. Dandan immediately jumped 30 feet high. His eyes were wide open, and he was so angry that his loose Taoist robe was fluttering. Boy, how dare you look down on me? I'm so angry. Boy, give me your contact information for the dreamy divine jade. When the time comes, I'll prove it to you and see if I'm qualified. Dandan was still glaring at Lu Ming. He had always been conceited. Now that he was being looked down on, he was so angry that his liver hurt. Okay. Lu Ming nodded casually, and then he and Dandan exchanged contact information for the dreamy divine jade. Right now, he did not intend to tell Dandan the truth. After all, the fact that he was Lu Ming was not a trivial matter. He must not leak it out. Once it was leaked out, he would not be able to find shelter in the primitive universe, let alone sneaking into the heavenly palace. He would have no choice but to run back to the mother planet of the dragon clan. After exchanging contact information with Lu Ming, Dandan left in a huff. Mu Yun. Just as Lu Ming was about to continue comprehending the Great Devil Sword technique, another voice rang out. It was very crisp and pleasant to the ears. Lu Ming was speechless. Why was it so difficult to cultivate properly? From the voice, he knew that the elf princess Ling Yue had arrived. A fresh and natural aura assaulted his face as a figure floated over. If it wasn't Ling Yue, who else could it be? Beside Ling Yue, there were a few young elves. They were all women and were extremely beautiful. Lu Ming even recognized one of them. It was that Hua Shui. On the side, many people looked at Lu Ming and then at Ling Yue, revealing looks of envy. Of course, there were also many people who revealed strong hostility. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Chapter 3988. What a coincidence, are you also participating in the Heavenly Soldier assessment? I didn't hear you mention it before. Lu Ming said with a smile. Previously, I did not plan to participate in the Heavenly Soldier assessment, but last time, I obtained the opportunity of the Holy Seed Mother Tree and my talent greatly increased. Royal Father decided to let me enter the Heavenly Palace to gain experience. It will be very beneficial for my future cultivation, so I came. Ling Yue said, carefully sizing up Lu Ming, her eyes becoming brighter and brighter. You've already broken through to the Divine Emperor realm? There was shock amidst the joy. She remembered clearly that when she met Lu Ming for the first time at the Resource Alliance Agreement in the Iron Sea Star Territory Group, Lu Ming's cultivation level was too low. He was too far away from the Divine Emperor realm. But how long had it been since Lu Ming had stepped into the Divine Emperor realm? This cultivation speed was truly shocking. Lu Ming said that he would challenge Gabbard 1,000 years later. In the eyes of others, it was a joke, but now she felt that it might really be possible. I'm just lucky, I can't compare to you. Lu Ming laughed. He discovered that Ling Yue's cultivation had already reached the peak of the second layer of the Divine Emperor realm. She was just a step away from breaking through to the third layer of the Divine Emperor realm. This kind of cultivation speed was also incomparably shocking. It seemed that Ling Yue's talent had also reached a terrifying level. Beauty, I heard that you are this guy's fiancé? Sigh, it's really a flower stuck in cow dung. A discordant voice rang out. It was Dandan again. He didn't know when he had turned around again. Why don't you break off the engagement? I'll introduce you to a young elite. He's my little brother, but it's not convenient for him to meet you right now. His talent is definitely higher than Mu Yun's. Why don't you consider it? Dandan continued. He was clearly taking revenge on Lu Ming. He was still brooding over Lu Ming's underestimation of him. Lu Ming was speechless. Dandan, this guy, still hadn't changed at all. No need, thank you. Ling Yue frowned, she was a little unhappy with Dandan. I'm serious. You should really consider it. That little brother of mine is extremely talented. He's destined to become a universe overlord in the future. Dandan kept talking and continued to promote. Ling Yue's face was gloomy as she unhappily swept her gaze over Dandan. Sigh, what a woman's view. What's so good about this fellow? That little brother of mine is better. Dandan muttered a few words unwillingly, then left as quickly as she could. For a moment, Lu Ming and Ling Yue felt a little awkward as they chatted casually. Oh right, do you know what the content of the second round is? Lu Ming changed the topic. It might be related to the Dark Universe. Ling Yue sent a sound transmission to Lu Ming. Dark Universe? Lu Ming's heart was beating wildly. He had heard from Bone Devil that the Heavenly Palace collected baleful yin qi with spirituality. It might be related to the Dark Universe. However, he wanted to ask in detail, but the Bone Devil didn't say much. He only said that he would understand more after he became a heavenly soldier. Who would have thought that Ling Yue would mention it again? Furthermore, it seemed that the second round of the Heavenly Soldier examination was related to the Dark Universe. What is the Dark Universe? How much do you know? Tell me about it. Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Ling Yue. Ling Yue shook her head and continued to transmit her voice. I only heard Royal Father mention it a few times, but he didn't say much. He said that the Heavenly Palace has a rule that no one can casually reveal information about the dark universe to the outside world. He only said that when I become a heavenly soldier, I will naturally understand it more clearly. Lu Ming could only suppress the curiosity in his heart. He would naturally understand after the examination. After chatting with Ling Yue for a while, the few of them each found a place to sit down, cultivating while waiting. This wait lasted for a full 2 years. After all, some people needed a long time in the first round of the examination. For example, Lu Ming's examination was set at 1 year. It was just that they completed it faster and finished it ahead of time. It was normal for some of the examinations to take 2 years. In these 2 years, Lu Ming had already gained a deep understanding of the Great Devil Sword technique. He believed that with a little more time, he would be able to enter the sect and turn it into a secret technique rune that would fuse into his cells. At this time, the number of people gathered in the hall had already exceeded 10,000. Although the success rate of the first round of the examination was not very high, Lu Ming and the rest of the 12 people, only 2 of them had passed. It was only a 1 in 6 success rate. However, this great desolate universe was too big. There were also many people who had successfully obtained the baleful Yin Qi. Naturally, there were also many people who had signed up. At this moment, a few sky officials entered the hall. Up until now, the first round of the examination has already ended. You have already passed the first round of the examination. Now, the second round will begin. As long as you pass the second round of the examination, you will be able to become a member of the Heavenly Soldier. And the second round of the examination is to enter the Dark Universe. In the middle, a white-haired sky official said. Dark Universe? At the scene, many people revealed puzzled expressions. It was obvious that this was the first time they had heard this name. However, there were also some people whose expressions did not change. It was obvious that they had long heard of this name, such as Ling Yue and the others who came from top clans. Next, I will briefly introduce the Dark Universe. However, you have all heard that in the end, it is best not to spread the news of the Dark Universe. Otherwise, the Heavenly Palace will punish you severely. The white-haired sky official said with a cold expression. Many people's hearts trembled as they hurriedly nodded. They did not dare to disobey the orders of the Heavenly Palace. The white-haired sky official raised his hand and pressed down, causing the hall to quiet down. The Dark Universe does not belong to the Great Desolate Universe. The white-haired sky official continued, but after he finished speaking, he stopped, as if waiting for everyone to absorb and digest. What? Many people were shocked, including Lu Ming. What did it mean that it did not belong to the Great Desolate Universe? For example, those small worlds and middle worlds were all attached to the Great Desolate Universe and still belonged to the Great Desolate Universe. As for the Dark Universe, it actually did not belong to the Great Desolate Universe. Could it be that there was more than one universe in this world? Lord Sky Official, could it be that there is more than one universe? In the endless primal chaos, other than the Great Desolate Universe, there are other universes? Someone raised a question. Not necessarily. The Dark Universe can't be considered another universe. It is different from the Great Desolate Universe. It is a strange place. The white-haired Sky Official said. Senior Sky Official, are there other universes? Someone asked. I'm not too sure about that either. The white-haired Sky Official said. Let's talk about the Dark Universe. It is a strange place, and there are countless demons living in it. Demons? Abyssal demons? Then the abyss? Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had often heard the term abyssal demons when he was in a small world. Later, when he came to the Great Desolate Universe, he often heard it again. However, he did not know where the abyss was. He used to think that it was just a middle world or a starfield. Could it really be the Dark Universe? If you want to talk about the abyss, it's not wrong. The abyss in the rumors refers to the Dark Universe. the white-haired sky official said. Chapter 3989. Abyssal Demons. Many people's eyes were solemn. Abyssal demons were a term that many people had heard growing up. It was synonymous with terror. The test this time was to enter the dark universe and interact with the abyssal demons. Many people couldn't help but feel nervous. But some people revealed a strong fighting spirit and curiosity. In the primitive universe, there were some races that were said to have the bloodline of the demons. But these races' bloodlines weren't pure at all. They were already considered creatures of the primitive universe. The abyssal demons of the dark universe are great enemies of the heavenly palace. They have been at war with the heavenly palace for many years. Your next test is to enter the dark universe and kill the abyssal demons there to obtain merit points from the heavenly palace. Only when you have a certain number of merit points will you pass the test. Here, I will explain the use of merit points. In the heavenly palace, merit points are the most important thing. With merit points, you have everything. The white-haired heavenly official explained as the crowd listened quietly. Let me tell you. When you first become a heavenly soldier, the heavenly palace will bestow upon you an opportunity that will allow everyone to reap great benefits. Some people will break through their cultivation, some will awaken their origin divine force, some will sever the shackles of their origin secret arts, and so on. The heavenly official continued. Many people's eyes shone with a fiery light. Many of them had heard of this point before. When one first became a heavenly soldier, the heavenly palace would bestow upon them an opportunity that was extremely important. Moreover, when one first becomes a heavenly soldier, the amount of opportunity one receives is also related to merit points. This is because heavenly soldiers are also divided into ranks. Generally, they are divided into 3 ranks. Third-rank heavenly soldiers are the lowest, followed by second-rank heavenly soldiers, then first-rank heavenly soldiers. The ranks of heavenly soldiers are completely based on merit points. When you first become a heavenly soldier, almost all of you are third-rank heavenly soldiers. But if you obtain more merit points during the test, you might become a second-rank heavenly soldier. Then, the reward for becoming a heavenly soldier will be even more amazing. The white-haired heavenly official's words made many people even more excited. In addition, merit points are almost omnipotent in the heavenly palace. You can exchange them for any treasure in the heavenly palace, such as all kinds of magical weapons and armors, all kinds of secret skills, and even the 3,000 ancient secret skills. The white-haired heavenly official continued. Lu Ming was shocked. All kinds of secret techniques and the 3,000 ancient secret techniques were extremely attractive to Lu Ming. It's not just treasures. As long as you have enough merit points, you can even ask the experts of the heavenly palace, or even the Lord of Heaven, to guide you in your cultivation. If you have enemies, you can use your merit points to ask the masters of the heavenly palace to help you deal with them. You can also use your merit points to increase the strength of your forces. The white-haired heavenly official's explanation caused everyone's eyes to burn with passion. Merit points were truly omnipotent. As long as you had enough merit points, you could do anything in the heavenly palace and obtain any treasure. As long as the heavenly palace had it, the heavenly palace would be able to do it. Of course, you needed enough merit points. So, go and earn merit points to your heart's content. Now, come with me to the dark universe. The white-haired heavenly official announced. Following this, the heavenly officials led them out of Dream Sky City and toward a mysterious part of the starry sky. This part of the starry sky did not belong to any race. It was the starry sky guarded by the heavenly palace and directly belonged to the heavenly palace. The crowd followed the heavenly officials and flew for several days before finally arriving at their destination. Seeing the situation in front of them, everyone was tongue-tied and their eyes widened in shock. There was a vast abyss in the starry sky. Yes, an abyss that seemed to have split open the starry sky. The abyss was pitch black and unfathomable. More importantly, it was so large that many stars were like specks of dust compared to it. In fact, there were many stars floating around the abyss. There were hundreds of stars, forming a heavenly cycle stellar array. Countless heavenly soldiers were stationed on these stars. This is the entrance to the dark universe. My dream sky heavenly palace has stationed countless heavenly soldiers here to prevent the demons from rushing out. In fact, the 5 heavenly palace each guard such an abyss that leads to the dark universe. The white-haired heavenly official said. As they spoke, they flew forward. When they approached, a group of heavenly soldiers flew over. These heavenly soldiers were wearing white armor with all kinds of runes engraved on it. This is the standard armor of the heavenly soldiers. It is said that the lowest level can withstand the full-strength attack of a 9th-layer divine emperor. Ling Yue transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. The heavenly palace is really rich. Lu Ming sighed. Even the lowest level could withstand the full-strength attack of a 9th-layer divine emperor. With so many heavenly soldiers, each of them would be equipped with boundless power. The heavenly official stepped forward and negotiated with the heavenly soldiers. Then, the heavenly soldiers led them toward the abyss. Whoosh! 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 Powerful gusts of wind blew out of the abyss. The group used their divine power to resist and flew into the abyss. There was a powerful suction force in the abyss that drew them down. Deep, it was simply too deep. They fell for an entire day before finally reaching the end. Below them was a vast expanse of land. On this land was an incomparably majestic city. The entire city was pitch black and made of an incomparably tough metal. Countless runes appeared on its surface, forming a great array. Countless experts of the heavenly palace were stationed within the city, as well as the heavenly soldiers. Outside the city was a vast expanse of land that stretched as far as the eye could see. The entire city happened to be right in front of the abyss. They landed on a large plaza in the city. This city belongs to the heavenly palace. Outside the city is the world of the fiends. The dark universe is very strange. It's like a boundless continent. I don't know how big it is. The cultivators of the heavenly palace once explored it, but they couldn't find the end. Countless demons live on this continent. The heavenly official explained. Lord Sky Official, how do we earn merit points? Do we just kill the demons? Or do we have to bring back some sort of token? Someone asked. Each fiend has a drop of fiend spirit blood. Kill fiends, collect their spirit blood, and bring it back to the heavenly palace. Naturally, there are ways to calculate merit points. Generally speaking, the stronger a fiend is, the more merit points they obtain, but that's not always the case. It also depends on one's potential. Killing a fiend with great potential or killing a fiend prodigy will give you more merit points. All of this will have to be calculated in the well of merit back in the heavenly palace. The white-haired heavenly official explained. The group nodded, having a general idea. Chapter 3990. This city is called Nantian City because the illusory heavenly palace guards the south of the universe. If you want to go out, you have to go through a special exit. Also, when you go out, you have to go in batches. If you send too many people at once, it will be easy to alarm the demon army. A heavenly soldier in white armor said. That's right. Moreover, outside Nantian City, the territory is extremely vast. These territories are divided into different levels according to the degree of danger. The first level is the safest, and the higher the level, the more dangerous it is. It's best for Divine Emperor Realm people to move around in the second level. Those below the Divine Emperor Realm go to the first level, and those above the Divine Emperor Realm go to the third level. Of course, some top monsters are excluded. You guys choose your area first, and then I'll split you into batches. You guys will go. Immediately, Lu Ming and the others chose different levels of areas. Lu Ming naturally chose the second level area. After everyone had made their choice, the sky official divided them into batches and led them out by the heavenly soldiers. He, Ling Yue, and Dandan were all separated by the sky official and were not in the same batch. Follow me. a heavenly soldier said to a group of people. Then, the heavenly soldier led the group of people who were participating in the assessment and left. After about half a day, another group of heavenly soldiers led a group of people away. 2 days later, it was Lu Ming's group's turn. There were about 500 of them. They were led by a team of heavenly soldiers toward the city gate. Open the formation. When Lu Ming and the others arrived at the city gate, someone immediately shouted. Then, a corner of the array formation covering the city gate opened, and they flew out from this corner of the array formation. Outside the city wall was a boundless continent. At a glance, there was no end in sight. It was vast and boundless. Moreover, the world was no longer filled with dense divine energy, but with all kinds of demonic energy. There was very little divine energy, and it was extremely faint. If they consumed too much divine energy, it would be very difficult for them to absorb divine energy from the world to replenish it. They had to absorb it from divine crystals or other treasures. Therefore, they had to prepare enough divine crystals to come here. The second level area I will take you to is called the 8th Snake Mountain Range. It is formed by 8 huge snake-shaped mountain ranges. It is vast and boundless, and there are many powerful demons residing there. However, the highest cultivation of the demons inside will not exceed the Divine Emperor realm. A heavenly soldier explained. Soon, they flew across the boundless land, and a majestic mountain range appeared before their eyes. The dark universe was different from the primitive universe. The dark universe was like a boundless continent. It was really too big. Just the 8th Snake Mountain Range alone was comparable to the total area of a dozen ordinary life planets. When they arrived, the heavenly soldiers brought them to the ground and retracted their auras. We're already close to the 8th Snake Mountain Range. If we get any closer, we'll be easily discovered by the demons inside. A heavenly soldier said and waved his hand. Go. Some people had already hurriedly flown out and rushed towards the 8th Snakes Mountain Range. As soon as someone made a move, the others followed suit. One figure after another dashed out. Lu Ming also followed the crowd and flew towards a corner of the 8th Snake Mountain Range. Looking from afar, the 8th Snakes Mountain Range looked like it was formed by 8 gigantic snakes. It was simply too huge. 500 of them might seem like a lot, but when they got close to the 8th Snakes Mountain Range, they were completely scattered. Lu Ming rushed into a dense forest. In the forest, ancient trees towered into the sky. However, these trees were filled with dense demonic qi. They were covered with sharp thorns and looked very ferocious. According to the heavenly soldiers, the demons are also in groups. They can form tribes or even kingdoms and set up formations. They are no different from the living beings in the primitive universe. They are extremely intelligent. I can't be too careless. Lu Ming thought. His body was like a gust of wind, flashing constantly. However, Lu Ming had not encountered any demons after running for half an hour in the forest. Just as Lu Ming was puzzled, a strong force suddenly attacked Lu Ming from both sides. Demonic qi, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he quickly retreated. However, the ground behind him suddenly exploded. A sharp force went straight for Lu Ming's back. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He used his palm like a knife and slashed backward. With a boom, the force was directly destroyed by Lu Ming. Moreover, his palm did not stop and continued to slash forward. With a puff, a tall and burly figure was split into 2. Demon. There was a flash in Lu Ming's eyes. He finally saw the other party's appearance clearly. It was a 3-meter-tall creature with a green body and a pair of green demon wings on its back. It had a mouth full of fangs and a ferocious expression. It was exactly the same as the legendary demon. In the primitive universe, some living beings had the bloodline of demons. There were even some cultivation techniques that could condense the image of demons. It was almost the same as this one. A living being from the primitive universe. Kill him and eat him. Roars and howls could be heard. There were at least a dozen demons on his left, right, front, and back. They roared and charged toward Lu Ming. What surprised Lu Ming was that their language was the same as the language of the primitive universe. These demons all looked the same. They had green skin, extended fangs, and a pair of demon wings on their backs. They kept roaring and charging toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming could see that the highest cultivation level of those demons was only the fourth godly emperor layer. Die! Shouted Lu Ming. He instantly used his battle formula to increase his fighting strength by 5 times. At the same time, a demon's sword condensed in his hand. That was the Great Demon Sword technique. Lu Ming's Great Demon Sword technique was not yet a beginner. He could use these demons to practice it. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The demon's sword moved freely and sword gleams burst forth. One by one, the demons were killed by Lu Ming, dying on the spot. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen demons were slaughtered by Lu Ming. Following which, Lu Ming's palm and long claws clawed at a demon's heart. A powerful suction force erupted. The next moment, a drop of blood that exuded a strong demonic aura flew out. That was the demon's spirit blood. It was also the place to exchange for points in the heavenly palace. Lu Ming took out a jade bottle and collected the demon's spirit blood. Then, he used forbidden strength. The forbidden area was like a silk thread that entered the demon's heart. A moment later, the demon's spirit blood flew out and Lu Ming collected it in the jade bottle. There were 13 drops of demon's spirit blood in total, from the first godly emperor layer to the fourth godly emperor layer. Lu Ming didn't know how many points he could exchange for. He had to go to the Well of Merit in the Heavenly Palace to exchange for points. There are so many demons here. It means that there is a demon tribe nearby. I wonder how strong the demon tribe is. Thought Lu Ming, but he wasn't afraid. Now that Lu Ming had used the Bingxian cudgel with all his might, his combat power was comparable to a 9th-level divine emperor. Of course, the Bingxian cudgel would be exhausted after a few moves. However, it could buy Lu Ming time to escape. Therefore, even if Lu Ming encountered cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer, he could escape. Lu Ming could kill cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. Chapter 3991. There weren't any great supreme gods in the 8 Snakes Mountain range, so Lu Ming wasn't worried. Of course, if he met a terrifying genius, he couldn't judge them by their cultivation level. Lu Ming wondered if he should find the evil demon tribe and get rid of them. Let's look for them first. Lu Ming made up his mind. His silhouette flickered as he moved towards the depths of the mountain range. The 8 Snakes Mountain range was too big. A person who entered it was like a speck of dust falling into the sea. After that, Lu Ming searched for half an hour, but he didn't see any evil demons. However, Lu Ming's path was blocked by a few other people. A few young men in white clothes. They were from the Angel clan. Mu Yun, we finally met you. You're really good at running, said one of the young men from the Angel clan coldly. He had a nose like an eagle's. You've been following me? There was a cold gleam in Lu Ming's eyes. Correct. Since we entered the 8 Snakes Mountain range, we've been trying to get closer to you. We met a group of evil demons on the way, but luckily, we met you. You're not very lucky, said the young man from the Angel clan. Oh, so what do you want? Asked Lu Ming. What do we want? Hee, you're not qualified to challenge Prince Gabbert. Of course, we'll help Prince Gabbert get rid of you. After we get rid of you, I'm sure Prince Gabbert will look at us in a new light, said the young men from the Angel clan smiling coldly. The holy light around their bodies became denser and denser. A powerful chi kept moving towards Lu Ming. Slash. Behind them, pairs of angel wings stretched out. An 8-winged angel. 3 6-winged angels. As soon as the angelic wings appeared, a vast amount of holy light flooded the area. Little boy, die, said one of the 6-winged angels. He was holding an angel's sword and charged towards Lu Ming. His pure white sword light swept across the area and turned the trees into dust. That six-winged angel had the strength of the third godly emperor layer. You're just a six-winged angel of the third godly emperor layer. You overestimate yourself. Lu Ming laughed lightly and punched out. The berserk fist energy directly destroyed his opponent's sword light, causing terror to appear in his opponent's eyes. He felt that the power of Lu Ming's punch was too strong. A six-winged angel of the angel clan could be regarded as a very powerful genius in the primitive universe. Even in the divine emperor realm, he could fight against a six-winged angel who was one level higher. Cultivators of the third godly emperor layer could fight cultivators of the fourth godly emperor layer. Lu Ming only had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. Initially, he thought he could easily defeat Lu Ming, but now he realized he had been wrong, and now he was going to die. With a loud boom, the six-winged angel's body exploded, sending feathers flying everywhere. The remaining three angels were dumbfounded. Brat, how dare you kill a prodigy of the angel race? You're courting death. You are courting death, shouted the three remaining angels furiously. They took out their angels' swords and charged towards Lu Ming. Two of them had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer, and one had the strength of the third godly emperor layer. The one with the aquiline nose was an eight-winged angel. He had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer. An eight-winged angel of the godly emperor layer could fight against a six-winged angel who was 2 levels higher than him. It had to be said that the angels were terrifyingly talented. They were much more talented than the other races. Ordinary 2-winged angels and 4-winged angels couldn't fight against a 6-winged angel of the godly emperor layer, but at the same level, they were almost invincible. 6-winged angels of the godly emperor layer could fight against a 6-winged angel of the godly emperor layer. It should be known that there were quite a few 6-winged angels among the angels. An 8-winged angel of the 4th godly emperor layer was as strong as an ordinary cultivator of the 6th godly emperor layer. That kind of fighting strength could easily kill a cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer. Of course, that was what they thought. So what if you're an angel? Kill. Lu Ming said coldly. The battle incantation had been successfully triggered to increase his combat power by 6 times. The Great Divine Wind Technique and the Great Shattering Technique were cast. They converged into an unparalleled force that crushed toward the 3 young angels. Ah! 2 miserable screams rang out. 2 of the angels simply couldn't resist Lu Ming's attack. They were directly blown apart, dying on the spot. The hawk-nosed young man of the angel clan was shaken. He coughed up blood and retreated. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. You. How is this possible? Other than shock, there was only horror in his eyes. He was deeply shocked by Lu Ming's battle prowess. This was because he realized that Lu Ming did not use any powerful weapons, nor did he rely on any external forces. He was completely relying on his own combat strength. A cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer had managed to injure him in 1 strike. He had the strength of the 6th godly emperor layer. That kind of fighting strength was incredible. Even Gabbert couldn't compete with Lu Ming at the same level. No, he had to report this to Gabbert. Therefore, without hesitation, he turned around and ran away, his 8 wings flapping furiously. Do you think you can escape? Said Lu Ming coldly. His silhouette flickered like a ghost, and in a flash, he caught up with the hawk-nosed young man from the Angel clan. A terrifying strength bombarded the young man from the Angel clan. You want to kill me? No way. Angel feather! Shouted the hawk-nosed young man furiously. He opened his mouth and spat out a feather. This feather was an angel's feather. It was shed by a powerful angel, and could be considered a powerful treasure. However, it wasn't a powerful weapon. There were countless treasures in the Angel clan, but not all of them could use them. In fact, there were very few who could use them. That feather could make the young man from the Angel clan explosively stronger, but there was a limit. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming's fist collided with the feather a dozen times. In the end, the feather couldn't block Lu Ming's attack and was blown away. Then, the 4 gravity pearls in Lu Ming's hands flew out and pressed down on the hook-nosed young man. The hook-nosed young man screamed miserably and his body fell to the ground like a meteorite. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and rushed over. His palm was like a knife, cleaving the hook-nosed young man into 2. The 4 young men from the Angel clan had wanted to kill Lu Ming, but in the end, Lu Ming had killed them all. Lu Ming took the 4 young men's rings and scanned them with his spiritual awareness. Then, he took out a few jade bottles filled with demon blood. There were a dozen drops. Lu Ming didn't hesitate to take them. As for the other weapons, he gave them to Chiu Chiu. Just as Lu Ming was about to leave, all of a sudden, there were terrifying whistling sounds coming from all directions. Lu Ming had goosebumps all over his skin. Gravity Pearl. Lu Ming controlled the Gravity Pearl with all his strength and set up a powerful gravity field within 100 miles. 6. Chapter 3992. Lu Ming used the Gravity Pearl to shroud the area within a radius of 100 miles under the powerful gravity. In the next moment, a few spears broke through the range of the gravity shroud. Slash, slash. After the long spear broke through the area shrouded by gravity, there was a violent sound of friction. Sparks flew and its speed slowed down a little. However, it was not pressed to the ground. Instead, it continued to stab toward Lu Ming. Their speed was astonishing. In the blink of an eye, they crossed 100 li. Lu Ming clenched his fists and punched continuously, colliding with a few long spears. Rumbling sounds spread in the air. Lu Ming's body shook and he was pushed back. The spears exploded and turned into pieces. What a terrifying strength! Lu Ming was stupefied. The spears had come from 10,000 li away, but they had still managed to push Lu Ming back after using 4 gravity pearls. One could imagine how strong they were. Ordinary cultivators of the 6th godly emperor layer couldn't do that. That was equivalent to the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer. In the distance, the sound of breaking winds spread in the air. Then, a large number of silhouettes flew over. Demons, a large number of demons. One by one, the demons spread their demonic wings and charged toward Lu Ming with a strong demonic aura. They're from the ancient desolate universe. Kill him! The evil demons roared like thunder. It seems like the battle a moment ago has alarmed these demons. Could it be that they're from a nearby tribe? Lu Ming smiled indifferently. He didn't panic at all. He could already sense that the strongest demon had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer. There were 4 cultivators of the 7th godly emperor layer. The others were all below the 7th godly emperor layer. There were about 200 of them. He had decided to kill all of them. Those were all merit points. With enough merit points, he could turn them into all kinds of treasures, all kinds of secret techniques, and even the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Therefore, in Lu Ming's eyes, those demons turned into all kinds of treasures. The demons came very quickly. In the blink of an eye, they arrived near Lu Ming. The 4 demons who had the strength of the 7th godly emperor layer were the fastest. They smiled cruelly and attacked Lu Ming with their claws. I'll send you on your way. A round bead appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was the gale bead. Hoo hoo hoo. A violent gale swept out from the zephyr bead. The 4 powerful evil demons were the first to be swept into the gale. Ah! 4 demons of the 7th godly emperor layer gave horrible shrieks as they were cut into pieces by the strong wind. The remaining demons were scared out of their wits, and their bodies that were originally charging forward could not help but stop. From their point of view, the 4 powerful leaders had died in an instant. It was too terrifying. Let's go, let's go. Retreat. The other demons roared, wanting to retreat and escape. Demons also know fear, but it's too late for you to retreat now. Lu Ming continued controlling the zephyr bead. A strong wind whistled as it swept out. In a few breaths, more than 200 demons were swept away by the strong wind, and then Lu Ming killed them. Lu Ming didn't show any mercy. Demons of the deep abyss were evil and cruel. Killing them was like getting rid of evil. However, Lu Ming controlled himself very well. He only killed the demons, but he didn't destroy their hearts because Lu Ming needed their blood. After a short time, the 200 demons were all killed by the strong wind. Afterward, Lu Ming manipulated the forbidden power to draw out the demon spirit blood of all the demons. In the dark universe, there are countless demons, and the heavenly palace is guarding the entrances of the deep abyss. Could it be that they're doing it for the sake of the common people? It seems like the heavenly palace isn't that bad after all, whispered Lu Ming. In fact, Lu Ming had this question since he entered the dark universe. From the look of it, the heavenly palaces were guarding the entrance to the dark universe, fighting the fiend devils and protecting the Urwild's universe. They were completely on the side of justice. But why were there so many forces against them, such as the dragon race, the Tang family of Xia Nianqing's previous life, and Flying Phoenix? Boy, if you think the heavenly palace is guarding the entrances of the dark universe for the sake of the living beings of the universe, then you're wrong. The heavenly palace is doing it for themselves. Bone Demon's voice was full of disdain. Bone Demon, what do you know? Tell me about it, asked Lu Ming quickly. It's too early to tell you now. Besides, I don't know much. I've only heard some rumors. If you want to know the details, you'll have to ask those forbidden existences, such as Flying Phoenix of the dragon race's mother planet, Ao Qian, and that Tang guy, said Bone Demon. It's a secret again. Lu Ming was speechless, but since Bone Demon didn't want to tell him, he didn't bother to ask. This should be a member of the evil demon tribe. A evil demon tribe shouldn't have this many people. I should have left one alive to find out more about the situation. Lu Ming was annoyed. After keeping the evil demon's spirit blood, he left in a flash. Lu Ming searched the vicinity. Not long after, he really found a demon tribe. It was a city built with huge stones. It looked very simple and couldn't be compared to the buildings in the chaotic universe. From afar, he could see many evil demons flying around in the city. There were also some evil demons patrolling outside the city. Lu Ming secretly caught a few evil demons and interrogated them. These evil demons were also living beings and were afraid of death. After being interrogated by Lu Ming, they told him the truth. Not only did they tell him about the tribe, but they also told him about the 8th Snake Mountain Range. In the 8th Snake Mountain Range, there were a total of 1325 ordinary tribes and 108 large-scale tribes. But all the tribes were ruled by a kingdom of evil demons. That kingdom was called the 8th Snake Evil Demon Kingdom. Its capital was at the center of the 8th Snake Mountain Range. There were many strong cultivators and many of them had the strength of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. The strongest evil demon tribe in front of Lin Yun had the strength of the 8th Godly Emperor layer. It was an ordinary tribe. I wouldn't have thought that the 8th Snake Mountain Range would have so many strong evil demons. And it's only a level 2 area. I wonder how many terrifying evil demons there are in the dark universe, thought Lu Ming. Obviously, Lu Ming could not afford to offend the demon empire of the 8 snakes. There were many powerful 9th-level divine emperors in the empire. Given Lu Ming's current combat capability, he would definitely die if he were to face 2 9th-level divine emperors at the same time. However, Lu Ming was able to deal with these ordinary and large tribes. After understanding the strength of the evil demon tribe, Lu Ming went straight in. Very quickly, the ordinary tribe was destroyed. Chapter 3993. After keeping all the evil demon's spirit blood, Lu Ming left this place and headed towards the depths of 8th Snake Mountain Range. 8th Snake Mountain Range was formed by the intersection of 8 huge snake-shaped mountain ranges. At the center, where the 8 snakes converged, it was the largest and also the most central place. The surroundings were the ends of 8th Snake Mountain Range. Lu Ming and the rest had entered from these ends. Lu Ming was now at the end of a mountain range. The deeper he went, the more evil demon tribes there were. Time flew, and more than 10 days had passed in the blink of an eye. In these 10 days, Lu Ming had been hunting evil demons. With the great killing weapon in his hand, Lu Ming had been successful in every endeavor. Evil demons died in his hands one after another, and the amount of evil demon spirit blood in Lu Ming's hands was increasing. However, while they were hunting evil demons, the evil demons were also hunting them. Along the way, Lu Ming also saw people who came to participate in the assessment being torn apart by the evil demons and becoming their food. On this day, when Lu Ming was moving forward, he suddenly encountered a person who was fleeing rapidly. It's her. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. This person was Hua Shui of the elf race. However, the current Hua Shui was in a very sorry state. Her body was covered in wounds and she had suffered serious injuries. Swoosh! Behind Hua Shui, 2 figures were chasing after her rapidly. Angel race. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Little girl from the elf race, you can't run away. Surrender obediently and serve us well. We can give you a quick death. One of the young men from the angel race sneered. His speed was very fast. With 8 wings on his back, he chased after Hua Shui like a stream of light. You angel race are despicable, Hua Shui gritted her teeth and flew with all her might. However, her serious injuries had seriously affected her speed. The 2 young men from the angel race were constantly closing the distance between them. Lu Ming directly flew towards Hua Shui. As soon as Lu Ming flew over, Hua Shui discovered Lu Ming. Mu Yun, surprise flashed in Hua Shui's eyes. He knew how powerful Lu Ming was. He knew that Lu Ming had a great weapon of mass destruction in his hands. If he met Lu Ming, he might be saved. It's Mu Yun. Very good. I was just about to look for him, and he came to me on his own accord. Let's get rid of him together. The 2 angels were overjoyed as well. They rushed towards Lu Ming. Their powerful auras locked onto Lu Ming. Hua Shui landed beside Lu Ming, gasping for breath. Are you okay? Lu Ming said calmly. Those 2 young geniuses had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, and they were 8-winged angels. They had the strength of the 6th godly emperor layer. Lu Ming didn't care about them. I'm fine, but the princess is trapped by them. Hua Shui said. Ling Yue. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Die, brat. One of the young angels charged towards Lu Ming. His angelic sword slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch and collided with the angelic sword. Multicolored light filled the sky, and the young angel quickly retreated. Buzz! 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 4 gravity pearls vibrated and flew out. The powerful gravity enveloped the 2 young angels. After that, Lu Ming attacked with all his strength. Boom! Boom! There were continuous explosions and roars, and then there were 2 screams. Calm was restored, but there were 2 more corpses on the ground. The 2 8-winged angels had been killed by Lu Ming. Their interspatial rings also fell into Lu Ming's hands. On the side, Hua Shui was dumbfounded. She knew that Lu Ming was very strong. If he used his ultimate weapon, he would definitely be able to kill the 2 of them. However, Lu Ming hadn't used his ultimate weapon just now. Without using his ultimate weapon, he had killed 2 young geniuses of the Angel clan. Hua Shui's heart twitched a few times. Where's Ling Yue? Lead the way. Lu Ming said. Mu Yun, among the people who are dealing with the princess, there are top geniuses of the Angel clan. They are extremely strong, and they also have terrifying divine weapons. Even if you go, you might not be a match for them. Hua Shui's expression changed. Lu Ming had already expected this. Ling Yue was now at the peak of the 2nd layer of the Divine Emperor realm. After her talent evolved, her battle strength was astonishing. Coupled with the elven king Biyao that was stained with blood, her strength was extremely terrifying. Those who could deal with her were definitely not weak. However, Lu Ming couldn't leave her in the lurch. "I know, just lead the way." Lu Ming's face darkened slightly, and his tone became more serious. For some reason, Hua Shue's heart trembled. Facing Lu Ming's tone, she actually didn't dare to refute, as if she had met an elder. "All right, I'll take you there." This way, in the end, Hua Shui brought Lu Ming in a certain direction. As they flew, Hua Shui introduced, "We were originally fighting with a group of demons, but those angels were so despicable. Taking advantage of our battle with the angels, they took the opportunity to attack us. Not only did they steal our demon spirit blood, they also took the opportunity to attack the princess. The princess was caught off guard and was injured. In the end, the princess used all her strength to stall the opponent, allowing me to break through and seek help. If I hadn't met you, I would have been in danger." Hua Shui gave a simple introduction, and Lu Ming roughly understood what was going on. A moment later, they approached a cliff. "It's right in front. The princess is relying on the cliff to block the opponent," Hua Shui whispered to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded, restrained his aura, and quietly approached Hua Shui. After approaching, he quietly looked forward. In front of him, there was a huge cliff. The cliff was tens of thousands of feet tall and was very smooth, like a piece of smooth metal. At the bottom of the cliff, Ling Yue held the elven king's bow that was stained with blood. Behind her, a towering tree appeared. Rich life essence was constantly injected into the elven king's bow, condensing into an arrow that was aimed forward. In front of Ling Yue, a group of angel race geniuses formed a semicircle and surrounded Ling Yue. However, these angel race geniuses seemed to be very afraid of Ling Yue's arrows. They only surrounded her from afar, not daring to approach. "Ling Yue, it's better for you to surrender and seal your own cultivation. In the future, you will obediently come with us to see young Master Gabbert. Today, other than this path, you have no other choice." An angel race genius said coldly. "Humph, don't even think about it. Despicable and shameless things, I have nothing to do with Gabbert. I would rather die than seal my cultivation to see him." Ling Yue said coldly, but her face was somewhat pale. It was obvious that she was injured. Her gaze was very serious as she scanned the bodies of two of the angel race's geniuses. These two angel race's geniuses, a man and a woman, stood quietly in two different directions. They didn't speak, but the auras on their bodies were incomparably terrifying. There were more than a dozen young angel race men and women present. However, only these two people caused Ling Yue to fear them. These two people were both 10-winged angels. Their cultivations were profound and their battle prowess was powerful. Most importantly, the two of them also possessed terrifying killing weapons. When they exploded, their power was astonishing. They were not inferior to the elven king's bow that was stained with blood. It was because of these two people that she found it difficult to break out of the encirclement. Chapter 3994. Today, it's not up to you. One of the 10-winged angels said coldly. An angelic divine sword appeared on his body. Dazzling holy light spread out in all directions, emitting a powerful aura. In the surroundings, the other angel clan geniuses continuously retreated, looking at this person with reverence. Without a doubt, this angelic divine sword was a great killing weapon. When activated by this 10-winged angel, its power was extremely terrifying. The only one who could still stand was another 10-winged angel, a female angel. A crown appeared on her head. It was the angel crown. This crown was also incomparably terrifying, allowing her to block the aura of the angelic divine sword. Wang. In Ling Yue's hand, the elf king Bao trembled. The blood on it seemed to be flowing. There was also a powerful aura that blocked the aura of the angelic divine sword. The male 10-winged angel's eyes were cold as he suddenly took a step forward. Boom! The earth rumbled as sword chi exploded. The stalemate was broken. Swoosh. Ling Yue made her move. An arrow pierced through the void, bringing with it a void passage as it shot towards the male 10-winged angel. Slash. Sensing the aura, the male 10-winged angel also made his move. The angelic divine sword turned into a resplendent sword light as it slashed out, accurately slashing at the arrow shot by Ling Yue. Boom! It was as if a star had exploded, erupting with a dazzling divine light. Following that, the two figures retreated. In this move, the two of them were evenly matched. In the distance, Lu Ming's expression was somewhat grave. After Ling Yue and the male 10-winged angel used their killing weapons, the power they unleashed reached the 9th level of the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming could only reach this level by using the mysterious ice rod. Ling Yue and the male 10-winged angel retreated, and the female 10-winged angel stepped forward. The angel crown on her head emitted a dazzling holy light. This holy light transformed into a huge palm print that slapped down towards Ling Yue. Ling Yue had just exchanged a move with the male 10-winged angel and had yet to recover. At this moment, she could only use all her strength to pull the bloodied attacking king's bow and shoot out another arrow. This arrow collided with the holy light palm print, but this time, Ling Yue's hasty attack was unable to completely block the holy light palm print. She was blasted backwards by the holy light palm print and crashed into the cliff, emitting a violent boom. It was unknown what material this cliff was made of, but it was extremely hard. Even so, there were still a few cracks on the cliff that were 10,000 meters long. Puff! Ling Yue's face paled as she spat out a mouthful of blood. Princess! Hua Shui couldn't help but exclaim. This exclamation immediately alarmed the angels. Who is it? How dare you spy on the angels? Get out here! A few cold shouts rang out, and then a few voices rushed towards Lu Ming and the others like lightning. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Now, he had no choice but to make a move. However, Lu Ming had already planned to make a move, so it was impossible for him to just stand by and watch. After getting along with each other for a period of time, excluding that inexplicable engagement, they could be considered friends. Lu Ming would not sit by and watch his friends be in danger and not make a move. Just now, he was only thinking about how to make a move. Now, there was no need to think. You stay here and don't move. Leave the rest to me. Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Hua Shui. Although Hua Shui's cultivation wasn't weak, having the cultivation of the 4th Divine Emperor layer, and her battle prowess was stronger than her cultivation, at least half of the angels were not weaker than Hua Shui, or even stronger than her. If she went out, she wouldn't be able to help at all. After saying that, Lu Ming directly rushed out. As soon as he rushed out, everyone saw Lu Ming. Mu Yun. Ling Yue was the first to cry out in alarm. She was clearly very surprised to meet Lu Ming here. It's him, it's Mu Yun. It's the little boy who challenged Gabbert. He's overestimating himself. He surprisingly dared walk into a trap. The angels were also surprised. They hadn't thought that Lu Ming would dare to rush out on his own. But immediately after, they released ice-cold murderous intent. In particular, the few elites of the angel clan who had taken the lead were emitting cold murderous intent. They waved their palms and a few terrifying sword gleams charged toward Lu Ming. There were 3 angels who attacked Lu Ming. They were all 6-winged angels, but their cultivation levels weren't weak. They had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer. Because they were 6-winged angels, they had the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer. However, Lu Ming didn't care about that. Boom! Lu Ming had already activated his battle incantation to increase his battle prowess by 6 times. As he was rushing out, his battle prowess had already increased by 6 times. He threw a few punches at the 6-winged angels. His powerful punches destroyed the sword lights released by the 6-winged angels. His punches didn't stop and continued bombarding the 3 6-winged angels. The 3 6-winged angels gave horrible shrieks and their bodies exploded. They died on the spot. The angels were astonished. Lu Ming's battle prowess had exceeded their expectations. As for Lu Ming, he didn't stop. He was already rushing towards the angels. Hoo hoo. Hoo hoo. The zephyr pearl appeared in his hand. A strong wind swept out and enveloped all the angels. The angels who were closest to Lu Ming didn't have time to dodge. They gave horrible shrieks and died in the strong wind. The strong wind continued blowing. It seemed like it was going to engulf all the angels. The other angels' expressions changed drastically. They kept retreating. "Little boy, don't you dare!" shouted the 10-winged angel icily. The angel crown on her head shone and turned into a sword of holy light. There was a rumbling sound. The strong wind was cut in half by the holy light. It turned into energy and dissipated. Then, the holy light from the angel crown condensed into a pair of wings. The wings flashed and the 10-winged angel quickly approached Lu Ming. Another holy light sword slashed towards Lu Ming. Her angel crown was filled with boundless holy light. That holy light could transform into any kind of attack. The holy light sword slashed through the sky. It seemed like the sky had been cut in half. Lu Ming had the feeling that it would be difficult to resist. That was normal because that sword had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. Even with the zephyr pearl, Lu Ming couldn't resist it. He could only use the Xian Bing rod. It wasn't the time to hide his strength. Lu Ming didn't hesitate to take out the Xian Bing rod. Forbidden strength poured into the Xian Bing rod. Boom! The obsidian staff quickly grew in size and blasted out. The void turned into chaos as it collided with the sword of holy light. There was an earth-shattering explosion. The sky seemed to be divided into two worlds. On one side, it was bone-chilling cold. The air was frozen. On the other side, it was a world of holy light. It was dazzling. Then, Lu Ming and the 10-winged angel retreated. How is that possible? The hearts of the other angels trembled violently. Chapter 3995. The hearts of the other angels were greatly shaken. Lu Ming could actually fight against a female 10-winged angel. This was too shocking. After all, Lu Ming only had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. Even if he had a terrifying weapon, he shouldn't be able to defeat a female 10-winged angel. After all, a female 10-winged angel's cultivation level was higher. Logically speaking, the higher one's cultivation was, the more one would be able to unleash the power of such a great killing weapon, and the more powerful it would be. Ling Yuwei had relied on the strength of the second godly emperor layer to control the King Elf Bao. That was already terrifying. It could only be said that Ling Yuwei's talent was too high. She was too compatible with the King Elf Bao. Lu Ming only had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. How could he release such power? There were only two explanations. One was that Lu Ming's talent was too high. The other was that Lu Ming's weapon was too high level. It was even more mysterious and unfathomable. They were more inclined to the second possibility. The level of the killer weapon that Lu Ming controlled was too high. The eyes of many angels were filled with greed. Die! Lu Ming retreated and waved his Xian Bing staff again. His staff was like a mountain, oppressing his opponent. In the surroundings, the other angels kept retreating. That was a collision between cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. They couldn't get involved. You're just a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Even if you have a treasure, let's see how many attacks you can make. Shouted the female 10-winged angel coldly. Her holy light became even more dazzling. She poured all her holy light into her crown. This time, the holy light turned into an angel's sword and slashed towards Lu Ming. Dong! The Xian Bing staff and the angel's sword collided again. Waves of qi rolled out in all directions. While Lu Ming and the female 10-winged angel were fighting, Ling Yuwei and the male 10-winged angel were also fighting. The two of them were also using their weapons. The scene was terrifying. The four young geniuses were all controlling their weapons. They were extremely focused. In the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged 5 or 6 attacks. Lu Ming's breathing became rapid. Controlling the Xian Bing staff consumed an astonishing amount of energy. Even though he had a forbidden body, he couldn't bear it. However, the expressions of the two 10-winged angels were somewhat gloomy. Using their weapons like that was extremely taxing on them. They couldn't bear it anymore. Die. The two angel race prodigies were enraged. Their essence, qi, and spirit were highly concentrated as they unleashed their most powerful attacks. They pushed their killing weapons to the limit. Lu Ming had no choice but to treat it seriously. There was a steady stream of energy gushing out of every cell in his body and into the Bingxian rod. The Bingxian rod vibrated and an ancient aura exuded from it. Lu Ming then blasted it out. The two of them exchanged another blow. At this moment, the world lost its sound. The earth rumbled, and terrifying cracks were torn open. It was not just Lu Ming and the female 10-winged angel. The other two killer weapons were also having a showdown. But at this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He realized that the Xian Bing staff in his hand was shaking non-stop. He couldn't hold it anymore. What's going on? Lu Ming was surprised, but in the next moment, he realized that the angel crown on the head of the female 10-winged angel was also shaking violently. Not only that, Ling Yue's blood elf royal bow and the male 10-winged angel's angel divine sword were also trembling violently. Swoosh! In the next moment, the Xian Bing staff actually broke free from Lu Ming's control and flew out. At the same time, the other three people's weapons also flew into the sky. Roar! A roar spread in all directions. A huge figure actually appeared within the Xian Bing staff. This was a giant ape. Its entire body was snow-white. It looked like a snow ape. The snow ape held a popsicle in its hand and swept it in all directions. A figure also appeared on Ling Yue's blood elf royal bow. It was an elf king with a crown. He held a war bow in his hand and wanted to shoot into the sky. As for the weapons in the hands of the two 10-winged angels, a figure also appeared. They were two powerful angels. Behind these two angels, there were 10 wings. Holy light soared into the sky. Boom! 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 4 powerful figures collided in the sky. They were in a stalemate. This, Lu Ming's eyes revealed a hint of shock. He was very familiar with this scene. He had seen it before. Once in the Xian Bing Life Soul Palace, he and Ling Yue fought against Xiao Wuji with their weapons. In the end, the 3 weapons flew out on their own and fought against each other. This time, it was exactly the same as the last time. It was also the 4 people's weapons that flew out to fight against each other. Kid, this is the divine weapon's self-recovery. The bone demon reminded. The divine weapon's self-recovery? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. When they use this kind of divine weapon to fight fiercely, your essence, energy, and spirit will rise to the extreme. The opposing divine weapon will automatically awaken the internal power, thus forming a confrontation. The bone demon explained. Lu Ming was stunned. It was getting more and more like this. Therefore, you can't rely too much on this kind of divine weapon in the future. After all, divine weapons are external objects. They are used by the top geniuses to protect themselves. In the end, you still have to rely on yourself. For example, if you encounter other geniuses who also have this kind of divine weapon, it will form a confrontation. Without the divine weapon, you still have to rely on yourself to fight. The bone demon explained. Lu Ming came to a realization. In the next moment, he felt a terrifying aura locking onto his body. It was the geniuses of the angel race. Mu Yun, now that you have lost your weapon, let's see how you will fight against me with your own ability. The female 10-winged angel's eyes were cold. Holy light burst out and condensed into an angel sword. She slashed it at Lu Ming. Qiuqiu. Lu Ming's heart moved. Qiuqiu turned into armor and covered his body. A silver spear appeared in his hand and he pierced it out. Boom! Lu Ming collided with the opponent's holy light. He felt a powerful force surging towards him. His body shook violently and he was forced to retreat. The power of the seventh godly emperor layer. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. The female 10-winged angel's cultivation was at the fourth godly emperor layer, but her talent was amazing. She could fight someone who was 3 levels higher than her. This talent was second only to Yin Jiuling, a candidate on the Universe Genius list. Lu Ming and Qiuqiu were no match for her. Die! The female 10-winged angel shouted coldly. She held the holy light divine sword and charged towards Lu Ming again. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered and the Gale Pearl appeared in his hand again. After all, he had more than one type of trump card. Seeing the Gale Pearl, the female 10-winged angel's pupils shrank sharply and she retreated rapidly. Didn't you want to kill me? Now you want to retreat? Lu Ming sneered and stepped forward, chasing after the female 10-winged angel. Chapter 3996. Lu Ming chased after the female 10-winged angel, but on the other side, Ling Yuwei was in danger. After losing his killing weapon, the male 10-winged angel immediately charged towards Ling Yuwei. The male 10-winged angel was at the 4th level of the Divine Emperor realm, and his battle prowess could also cross 3 levels, reaching the 7th level of the Divine Emperor realm. As for Ling Yuwei, she was only at the 2nd level of the Divine Emperor realm. After exchanging 2 moves, Ling Yuwei coughed out blood and retreated. Ling Yuwei, how can your strength be so strong? Although Ling Yuwei was injured and retreated, the 10-winged angel was still incomparably shocked. Ling Yuwei was only at the 2nd level of the Divine Emperor realm, and her cultivation was 2 levels weaker than his. She was actually able to withstand 2 of his moves, and was only injured, and not seriously injured at that. It was completely possible to cross 4 levels, or even close to 5 levels. How could he not be shocked? In the past, Ling Yuwei was only ranked 16th in the top 100 quasi-emperor rankings. In terms of talent, she was definitely not stronger than him. And now, he was much weaker than Ling Yuwei. This woman is a scourge. I'm afraid she will threaten young Master Gabbert in the future. A thought flashed through the male 10-winged angel's mind. His eyes shone with a cold light as he quickly formed a seal with his hands. Then, a sparkling cross appeared. The cross was like a mountain as it pressed down on Ling Yuwei with terrifying might. Body as an arrow. Ling Yuwei shouted as her body was completely enveloped by a green divine light. Her body seemed to have turned into an arrow. With his own body as an arrow, the world as a bow. Wang. The air shook violently, like the sound of a bowstring. Ling Yuwei's body turned into an arrow and flew out, colliding with the Holy Cross. A violent explosion rang out, and the Holy Cross made a kacha sound. In the end, with a bang, it exploded, and Ling Yuwei also revealed her original body. She frantically retreated, blood still flowing out of her mouth. Even though she had used her full strength, she was still no match for her opponent. Ling Yuwei, since you can't be used by young Master Gabbert, then I can only get rid of you. Kill. The male 10-winged angel spoke coldly, wanting to finish off Ling Yuwei in one go. But at this moment, a sense of crisis suddenly filled his heart. All the hair on his body stood up, and without thinking, he moved dozens of meters to the side. A terrifying wind blade flew past where he was standing just now. Lu Ming made his move. He controlled the gale and sent out a wind blade. After forcing back the male 10-winged angel with a single move, Lu Ming's figure flashed and arrived in front of Ling Yuwei. Are you alright? Lu Ming asked. I'm fine. Are you that concerned about me? Ling Yuwei revealed a smile. At this time, she could still smile. If Hua Shui hadn't begged me, I wouldn't have bothered to come. Lu Ming pursed his lips. At this time, the people from the Angel clan had already surrounded Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei at the bottom of the cliff. This kid still has a great killing weapon in his hands. Be careful. The two 10-winged angels warned. This kid's great killing weapon isn't very powerful. It's only equivalent to the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer. Let us do it. A few angels stepped forward, and powerful auras erupted from them. These angels were all 8-winged angels, but their cultivation levels were astonishingly high. They had reached the 6th godly emperor layer. In addition, there was also an angel who looked to be in his 30s. He was only a 6-winged angel, but his cultivation level had reached the 7th godly emperor layer. There were a total of 5 angels. These 5 angels had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer, or even infinitely close to the 9th godly emperor layer. Of course, they were older than the two 10-winged angels. A moment ago, Lu Ming and the others had used their great killing weapons to fight. Their strength had reached the 9th godly emperor layer, so they couldn't interfere. Now that the great killing weapons were in a deadlock, they could finally interfere. Lu Ming's gaze was grave. These few people gave him a lot of pressure. Let's attack together and kill Mu Yun first, said the 6-winged angel. He looked like he was in his 30s, but he was actually very old. He had been practicing cultivation for a very long time, so his fighting abilities were incredible. He was holding an angel sword, turned into a beam of light and moved towards Lu Ming. The other 4 strong cultivators also moved towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming controlled the Zephyr Pearl and a strong wind swept out towards the 5 angels. Break! The 5 angels raised their swords at the same time. Dazzling sword lights moved towards the gale. Slash! Slash! Ear-piercing sound spread in the air. The holy light swords and the gale kept colliding. In the end, the gale was blocked. Lu Ming's gaze was somewhat grave. When the 5 angel experts joined forces, their combat power was very powerful. Back in the day, when he had destroyed the Flying Stars sect, Lu Ming had used the Zephyr Pearl to easily kill a cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer. But just now, he had been blocked by the 5 angels. When the 5 angels joined hands, their fighting abilities were very close to the 9th godly emperor layer. Luckily, the energy in the Zephyr Pearl could be drawn out continuously. It didn't consume much of Lu Ming's energy. A gust of strong wind rushed out. Lu Ming immediately drew out a gust of strong wind that swept out. Follow me closely, let's rush out together, Lu Ming said to Ling Yuwei telepathically. He pulled Ling Yuwei's small hand and followed the gale, rushing forward. You want to rush out? Impossible. Kill. The 5 experts of the angel race roared. Holy light illuminated half of the sky. The holy light divine sword slashed toward Lu Ming and collided violently with the strong wind. This time, the gale was still blocked. However, Lu Ming immediately drew out another gust of gale. Being bombarded by the gale, even the 5 angels couldn't withstand it. They couldn't help but retreat. Damn it, what kind of killing weapon is this? How can it be so powerful? Roared the 30-year-old angel furiously. He was extremely irritable. Of course, he didn't know that the Zephyr Pearl was completely different from other killing weapons. The Zephyr Pearl stored a peerless cultivator's gale. It was like a storage device. As long as it was drawn out, it would be fine. Lu Ming kept drawing out strong winds. The experts of the angel race kept retreating. Use the angel battle formation, shouted the 10-winged angel. Set up the angel battle formation. Set up the formation. Their silhouettes flickered. More than 10 angels, including the 5 who had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer, joined in. A pillar of holy light soared into the sky and broke through the clouds. More than 10 angels formed a battle formation. Their chi was the same, and they fused together. Then, they turned into a gigantic holy light sword and slashed out violently. Boom! That holy light sword was really astonishing. Its power had reached the 9th godly emperor layer. Lu Ming's gale was directly cut apart by the holy light sword. The sword chi didn't stop, continuing to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He quickly retreated with Ling Yue. At the same time, another gale rushed out from the Zephyr Pearl. Chapter 3997. Lu Ming kept summoning gusts of wind to block the attacks of the Angel Battle Formation. However, the Angel Battle Formation formed by a dozen angels had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. It had already surpassed the power of the Zephyr Pearl. Boom! 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 The holy light sword kept colliding with the gusts of wind. Each time it collided, it would break a gust of wind. "Kill this boy in one go!" shouted the male 10-winged angel furiously. The holy light sword became even more dazzling as it rapidly approached Lu Ming. Oh no! Lu Ming frowned. He kept trying to recall the Bingxian staff. He wanted to use it to block the angel's attack, but the Bingxian staff didn't react at all. It was already entangled with the two great weapons of the angels. If he didn't have the Bingxian staff, should he use the purple copper coffin? But sometimes, the purple copper coffin was useless. Lu Ming realized that the purple copper coffin would only react under certain special circumstances. For example, when facing something very ancient, or when facing something related to a primitive god, or when facing the heavenly human race in the heavenly palace, when facing ordinary creatures in the primitive universe, it would sometimes not work. Lu Ming wasn't sure if it would work. If it didn't, it would be even more troublesome. At that moment, Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Because at this moment, dense runes suddenly appeared on the ground and in the void nearby. Countless runes slithered around like tiny snakes, intertwining together to form a large formation. Whoosh! 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 The great formation shone. Then, chains suddenly appeared and wrapped around the angels. This time, the angels were caught off guard. They couldn't dodge even if they wanted to. Break! Some of the more powerful angels roared. Their divine power erupted, forming a shockwave that dispersed the chains. However, some of the weaker angels were not as strong. They were all entangled by the chains. Then, with a pull of the chains, these angels were sent flying. Following that, more runes appeared in the sky and on the ground, forming an array formation. This time, many sword lights condensed and charged towards the angels. Those with weaker cultivations and insufficient strength were directly killed, dying on the spot. Those who were more powerful, such as a few 8-winged angels and 10-winged angels, kept flashing. At the same time, they swept out their angelic swords, breaking apart the sword light formed by the great array. But this way, the angel battle formation would be broken. Go! How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? He immediately summoned a strong gale and rushed in a certain direction. In that direction, there were only 2 angels. These 2 experts of the angel clan were currently blocking the sword light condensed by the formation. Then, they were hit by the gale and couldn't help but retreat. This way, there was a gap in their encirclement of Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Lu Ming brought Ling Yue and rushed out of the gap at an astonishing speed. Damn it, stop them. Crush this formation. The geniuses of the angel race let out a furious roar. Their bodies were like holy suns, emitting a blinding light that blasted the ground and pierced through the void. The runes engraved on the ground and space also exploded and turned into nothingness. However, it was already too late. Lu Ming and Ling Yue had already rushed out of the encirclement. Come, this way. A figure appeared in front of them and called out to Lu Ming and Ling Yue. It really is this guy. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. If the figure in front of him wasn't Dandan, who else could it be? However, why would Dandan save him? Could it be that he had already recognized him? After all, Dandan had followed him for so many years, so he was too familiar with his habits and tone. It wasn't impossible for him to recognize him. Coincidentally, Dandan's direction was exactly the direction where Hua Shui was hiding. Lu Ming didn't hesitate at all. He brought Ling Yue and directly rushed over. Halfway through, he brought Hua Shui and rushed towards Dandan. "Brat, you're the one who's up to no good. You dare to go against our angel race? You're courting death." The angel race also noticed Dandan and immediately roared. Just now, 6 of the angel race's geniuses had died under Dandan's formation. Otherwise, the angel battle formation wouldn't have been broken so easily. Not only did this person dare to attack their angel race, he even dared to kill their genius. This was simply unforgivable. "The ones I'm killing are you birdmen?" Dandan clamored, not afraid at all. Back on the dragon race's mother planet, the supreme expert of the angel race had joined forces with the Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace to deal with Lu Ming. In the end, they had forced the experts of the world turtle race to force him to leave. He had long been unhappy with the angel race. He would destroy anyone the angel race wanted to deal with. "You're courting death." These angel race geniuses were furious. They flapped their wings and quickly chased after Dandan, Lu Ming, and Ling Yue. "You want to chase me? No way!" Dandan shouted as he ran. At the same time, more runes appeared on the ground and in the void. The runes were densely packed and filled the void. Then, they interweaved into various formations. Some were used to trap enemies, some were used to attack. They turned into countless divine lights and blasted towards the angel race's geniuses. The formation here was obviously something Dandan had spent some time on. The formation that suddenly appeared on the battlefield was set up by Dandan at the last minute. Therefore, the formation here was even stronger. The angel race's geniuses were immediately blocked. The remaining 10 angel race's geniuses attacked with all their strength, destroying the formation on the ground and in the air. They chased forward, but before they could chase for long, more formations appeared. After a few times, Lu Ming, Ling Yue, Hua Shui, and Dandan had already fled without a trace. "Damn it! Who is that kid? His formation is so powerful. It seems to be hiding his aura. I can't tell what race he is. Damn it!" The remaining angel race's geniuses were furious. This time, they had suffered a double loss. They were unable to take down Ling Yue, nor were they able to kill Lu Ming. On the other hand, their side had lost many geniuses and suffered heavy losses. Inform the others. Even if we have to search through the entire 8 Snake Mountain range, we have to find Mu Yun, Ling Yue, and the others. The male angel race's genius roared. "There's no rush. Their divine weapons are still here. It's not too late for us to take away their divine weapons first." An angel race's genius suggested. He looked at the 4 great weapons in the sky that were still burning with greed. At this moment, the 4 weapons of mass destruction in the sky suddenly shook violently and flew away. The angel, the elf king, and the snow ape on top of them all disappeared. Then, the ice mystic rod and the bloodied elf king Biyao pierced through space and disappeared without a trace in a flash. Chapter 3998. The mysterious ice rod and the bloodied elf king Biyao pierced through the void and disappeared without a trace. The 10 heavens chosen of the angel clan were dumbstruck. Then, their handsome and beautiful faces flushed red. "Ah! Damn it, send me a sound transmission. Inform the others." Angry roars rang out one after another. Then, these angel clan geniuses used the dream jade to inform the other angel clan geniuses in the 8th Snake Mountain range. As one of the top 10 races of the prehistoric 10,000 races and a close relationship with the Heavenly Palace, the angel clan naturally had a lot of people participating in the Heavenly Soldier examination. Immediately, all the angels in the 8th Snake Mountain range received the news and began to search for Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Under the lead of Dandan, they quickly arrived at a safe place. Brother, thank you for your help. Lu Ming was the first to thank him, pretending not to know Dandan. You're welcome. I just don't like those birdmen. In the past, one of my little brothers was dealt with by these birdmen. You are the enemy of these birdmen, and the enemy of the enemy is a friend. Dandan grinned. A few black lines appeared on Lu Ming's head. This guy had told everyone that he was his little brother, and Lu Ming really couldn't make a move right now. Otherwise, he would have to let Dandan clearly know who was whose little brother. But then again, in order to save you, I offended the angel race. This is a very big risk. If you want to thank me, I won't refuse. Give me 1,000 Emperor-level divine pills, and that's enough. Hee hee. Yi Shiwen smiled. You're right. Dandan's voice changed as his eyes moved between Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Lu Ming despised him. Dandan, this guy, had finally revealed his true colors. He was still as thick-skinned and greedy as ever. Moreover, the moment he opened his mouth, it was already 1,000 Emperor-level pills. He really could open his mouth. This. That. Ling Yue stammered. The crux of the matter was that 1,000 Emperor-level divine pellets were simply too precious. She simply couldn't take them out. I don't even have 1,000 Emperor-level divine pills. How about this? We'll owe you a favor. Take it as repayment for saving our lives. Lu Ming directly wrote an empty check. In terms of being thick-skinned, Lu Ming believed that he was no worse than Dandan. You. That's not very good. Dandan glanced at Lu Ming from the corner of his eyes. He felt that Lu Ming's behavior was somewhat familiar. How about this? I don't know how to address you, friend. I will remember this favor. If I have the chance in the future, I will definitely compensate you. However, I don't have that many Emperor-level divine pills with me right now. Ling Yue said. After all, she was the elf princess, and her skin was not as thick as Lu Ming's. I am known as the Array Ancestor. Dandan clasped his hands behind his back, looking like a peerless expert. Bah! Lu Ming stared at him intently. He really couldn't hold it in any longer. Dandan, this fellow, was starting to put on an act again. Brat, what do you mean by this? You don't want to live anymore, do you? Dandan stared fiercely at Lu Ming. The more he looked at Lu Ming, the more unhappy he became. No, don't misunderstand. My nose was itchy just now, so I couldn't help but sneeze. Lu Ming said. Dandan was still in a bad mood as he fiercely swept a few glances at Lu Ming. In his heart, he was calculating when he would teach Lu Ming a lesson. However, when he thought of Lu Ming's terrifying battle prowess, he cursed in his heart. At this moment, the void broke open, and the ice-profound rod and the elf king Bao flew out, respectively flying into Lu Ming and Ling Yue's bodies and disappearing. Dandan's eyes lit up as he watched. Forget it, what kind of person am I? I won't bother with you guys. As for the reward, I can also forget about it. However, I have a condition. Dandan said. What condition? Ling Yue said. Next, how about we cooperate? Let's hunt demons together and obtain demon spirit blood. We can even hunt angels and obtain demon spirit blood from them. Dandan said. Lu Ming knew that Dandan had finally revealed his true purpose. He had taken a fancy to Lu Ming and Ling Yue's battle prowess and wanted to cooperate with them to obtain demon spirit blood. It's your honor to be able to cooperate with me. With my help, the speed at which you hunt evil demons will greatly increase. Dandan said. Alright, let's cooperate. Ling Yue was thin-skinned. Dandan had indeed saved them, so she couldn't refuse. Ha ha ha, good. Girls are really straightforward, unlike some people. As he spoke, Dandan glanced at Lu Ming unhappily. Lu Ming pretended not to see it. Look at me, I'll find some demons for you right now. Dandan opened his mouth and quickly formed a seal with both hands. Then, endless runes appeared from Dandan's hands. These runes were like small worms that spread through the air before disappearing. What a brilliant rune Dao. Could it be that you are from the world's divine turtle clan? Ling Yue revealed a look of admiration. She was also proficient in the way of runes and formations, but compared to Dandan, the difference was too great. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. In Dandan's hands, the way of runes and formations had simply turned into art. Although she felt that Dandan's words were unreliable, the way of runes and formations was truly unfathomable. In the universe, the most famous rune formation was the world's divine turtle. Little girl, you have some eyesight. Dandan revealed a complacent expression and continued to control the runes. Not long after, Dandan's gaze moved as he said, "Got it. There's a demon tribe 130,000 miles to the southeast. It's not very strong, we can deal with it." He found it just like that. Lu Ming was also rather surprised. It seemed that during this period of time, Dandan's rune array Dao had become more and more powerful. Seeing the surprise in Lu Ming's eyes, Dandan became even more proud. He raised his nose to the sky and said, "Follow me." The four of them headed towards the southeast. Sure enough, not long after, they discovered a demon tribe. It was only an ordinary tribe, and Lu Ming and the others could easily deal with it. They charged in, and not long after, the demon tribe was destroyed. The demon's spirit blood fell into their hands. Following that, they relied on Dandan's formation to easily find demons every time. As expected, the speed at which they obtained demon spirit blood had increased by a lot. The entire 8 Snake Mountain range was filled with slaughter. Those who participated in the assessment were constantly hunting demons. Of course, some people would also die in the hands of demons and become their food. Just like that, half a month passed. 8 Snake Mountain Range, where the 8 mountain ranges converged, was the core of the 8 Snake Mountain Range. It was also the location of the 8 Snake Demon Kingdom, where the strongest demons of the 8 Snake Mountain Range were gathered. In a large hall, a young demon sat high up, looking incomparably dignified. "Prince, recently, people from the Great Desolate Universe have come to the 8 Snake Mountain Range to train and hunt our race. What should we do?" Below, an old demon reported. Chapter 3999. The young abyss devil above was the prince of the 8 Snake Devil Kingdom, Samoras. Samoras' eyes flashed with murderous intent. "What should we do?" "Of course, we have to kill all the beings of the primitive universe. Prince, there are some people in the primitive universe who are extremely terrifying. If we send an army to fight them head-on, we might suffer heavy losses, and the kingdoms of the other mountain ranges will take advantage of this." The old abyss devil below expressed his worry. The abyss devils of the dark universe were divided into different forces of different sizes. These forces would fight and attack each other. Some of them are extremely terrifying. I'm afraid they aren't. Don't worry, I'll meet them personally. Samoras smiled faintly. As he spoke, his body began to undergo drastic changes. The fangs in his mouth disappeared, and the skin on his body changed. Finally, the abyss devil wings on his back disappeared. He had turned into a young human with purple hair and was extremely handsome. Moreover, from his aura, it was not the aura of an abyss devil. It was as if he had completely turned into a human. Below, all the demons were stunned. Then, many of them began to tremble. It was a tremor of excitement. "Prince, have you awakened the progenitor bloodline?" The old abyss devil said with a trembling voice. "Yes, I awakened the progenitor bloodline not long ago," Samoras said with a face full of confidence. All the abyss devils below were extremely excited. Some of them were even crying. "God bless our 8 Snake Devil Kingdom. Our 8 Snake Devil Kingdom will definitely rise in the hands of Prince. In the future, all the Abyss Devils' territories will resound with Prince's name." Some Abyss Devils shouted excitedly. Among the Abyss Devils, awakening the progenitor bloodline represented talent. Incomparably terrifying talent also represented potential. However, it was too difficult to awaken the progenitor bloodline. There might not even be one in a trillion abyss devils. In any case, no abyss devil in the 8th snake devil kingdom had ever awakened the progenitor bloodline. Samora's could be said to be the #1 prodigy in the history of the 8th snake devil kingdom. Once the demon progenitor bloodline was awakened, his body would undergo a huge change. He could take the form of a demon or a demon progenitor. The so-called demon progenitor form was just like Samora's current human form. In the form of a primogenitor, even his aura would change. Unless one's cultivation was much higher than his, it would be very difficult to discover his true identity as a demon. I will infiltrate the ancient desolate universe and kill some of the strongest cultivators. You gather an army. Gather all the cultivators of the 7th, 8th, and 9th godly emperor layers. Come with me and we'll destroy the ancient desolate universe, said the prince. Samoro announced. Understood. Below, all the abyssals respectfully accepted the order, their eyes filled with deep reverence. Now that the prince had awakened his primogenitor bloodline, his future was limitless. As long as they followed the prince's footsteps, their future would also be bright. Immediately, almost all of the top experts of the Snake Demon Kingdom were mobilized, moving in all directions. As for Samora's, he personally left the 8th Snake Demon Palace and disappeared into the vast forest. Several days later, a terrifying fluctuation erupted in a valley. After a few breaths, the fluctuation disappeared and a few young people were lying on the ground, lifeless. Those are the geniuses of the top 10 clans of the ancient desolate universe. How disappointing. Samoro clasped his hands behind his back and left. In another part of the 8th Snake Mountain Range, there was an ordinary demon tribe. At that moment, a dozen people appeared outside the demon tribe. They were from the Sun Clan, one of the strongest clans in the ancient desolate universe. They were ranked 31st, we've already investigated. The strongest cultivator of the demon tribe has the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer. The others are all below the 8th godly emperor layer. We can easily defeat them. Alright, let's attack. A demon tribe should have a lot of spiritual blood. In 2 minutes, if nothing happens, let's attack. The Sun Clan's geniuses communicated secretly. 2 minutes later, the Sun Clan's geniuses' silhouettes flickered and they rushed into the demon tribe. Retreat. However, when the Sun Moon Clan's geniuses rushed into the demon tribe's members quickly retreated as if they knew they were coming. The Sun Clan's geniuses were surprised and then continued chasing the demon tribe. However, a moment later, a terrifying chi appeared around the demon tribe. A tall and sturdy demon tribe's geniuses appeared and surrounded them. Demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. So many demons of the 8th godly emperor layer, we've been fooled. We're finished, shouted the Sun Clan's geniuses. Their faces were deathly pale. They could sense that there were 3 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer and more than 10 demons of the 8th godly emperor layer. Only 3 of them had the strength of the 8th godly emperor layer and none of them had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. They had thought that they could easily defeat an ordinary demon tribe, but now they were facing a group of ferocious beasts. Kill them. What delicious meat. Kill them. The demons laughed loudly and started attacking the Sun Clan's geniuses. There were 3 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer and more than 10 demons of the 8th godly emperor layer. The Sun Clan's geniuses couldn't fight back at all. After a few minutes, the Sun Clan's geniuses were all killed. These ancient desolate universes' geniuses are all young. They're rich in blood and chi. They're very nutritious. Make some soup and reward everyone, said a demon of the 9th godly emperor layer. The other evil demons immediately howled in excitement. The same thing happened all over the 8th Snakes Mountain Range. The 8th Snakes Demon Kingdom sent a large number of cultivators of the 9th and 8th godly emperor layer to take the exam and kill them. Samo Luo pretended to be a young genius of the ancient desolate universe. He hid among the ancient desolate universe's geniuses and killed the strongest cultivators of the ancient desolate universe. In a short time, the ancient desolate universe's geniuses suffered disastrous losses. In the southeast of the Eight Snakes mountain range, Lu Ming, Dandan, Ling Yue, and Hua Shui were still looking for demons. 160,000 li to the west, there's a demon tribe. Dandan used a deployment spell to find another demon tribe. The four of them didn't hesitate and rushed towards the demon tribe. They had already used this method to destroy 9 demon tribes. They had gained a lot. If they continued like this, not only would they be able to complete the exam, but they would also gain a lot. After all, in the Heavenly Palace, merit points could be turned into all kinds of treasures. Chapter 4000. They moved like lightning. It didn't take long for them to arrive hundreds of thousands of miles away. It was an ordinary tribe. It didn't look any different from the tribes Lu Ming and the others had encountered before. There were some demons patrolling the walls of the tribe. Attack! Lu Ming and the others didn't hesitate and charged forward. Swish swish, before Lu Ming and Dandan could attack, Ling Yue and Hua Shui had already attacked. A few arrows pierced through the void and killed a few patrolling demons on the city wall. It didn't even cause the slightest movement. After killing the patrolling demons on the city wall, they quietly entered the city. However, as soon as they entered the city wall, Lu Ming and the others felt that something was wrong. Because the city wall was empty. Not a single demon could be seen. Not good, we've been tricked. Retreat. Lu Ming's expression changed. He immediately thought that something was wrong. There was not a single demon in the city. It was most likely an ambush. Dandan, Ling Yue, and Hua Shui were not ordinary people. They immediately thought of this. The four of them were about to leave. Boom boom. Powerful auras burst out from all directions. Then, numerous figures of demons appeared and surrounded them. Among them, a few demons were the most terrifying and had the strongest auras. They were existences of the 9th godly emperor layer, and there were 2 of them. In addition, there were at least a dozen 8th godly emperor layer demons. As for the 7th godly emperor layer demons or those below, there were even more. They surrounded the place, blocking all paths of retreat for Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others' expressions were extremely ugly. Obviously, they had been ambushed. These demon experts had been lying in ambush for a long time. All the demons around them looked at Lu Ming and the others. Only 4 creatures from the primitive universe, and their cultivation is so weak. The strongest one is only of the 4th godly emperor layer? It seems that they are just a few small things. These demons spoke. Many of them looked disappointed. They had been lying in ambush here to catch a big fish. They hadn't expected that they would only meet a few small things. In their eyes, Lu Ming and the others were just small things. The strongest one was Hua Shui, 4th godly emperor layer. Next were Ling Yue and Dandan, 2nd godly emperor layer. Indeed, Dandan's cultivation level had risen rapidly. He had reached the 2nd godly emperor layer, 1 layer higher than Lu Ming. In the eyes of these evil demons, such a cultivation was indeed a small fry. Those people were all cultivators of the 7th godly emperor layer. Kill. A few demons of the 7th godly emperor layer flapped their wings and attacked Lu Ming and the others. To be honest, Lu Ming and the others were not strong enough to deal with the demons at the 7th level of the God Emperor realm. However, they had a powerful weapon. Break to the left. Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Ling Yue. There were cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer in front of them and behind them. There were no cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer on their left and right. It was a good opportunity to break through. In the blink of an eye, a few cultivators of the 7th godly emperor layer arrived in front of Lu Ming and the others. They raised their demon swords and attacked Lu Ming and the others. Gale. Lu Ming immediately took out the Gale Pearl, which summoned a terrifying gale that swept out. A few demons of the 7th godly emperor layer were engulfed by the wind. They gave a horrible shriek and died. When Lu Ming took out the Gale Pearl, they were already rushing to the left. Ling Yue had already taken out the blood-stained Elven King Bao. She poured an endless amount of energy into the Elven King Bao. Bzzz. Bzzz. Ling Yue continuously drew her bow. A few arrows turned into dazzling lights and shot to the left, towards the demons of the 8th godly emperor layer. Fast, really fast. The arrows pierced through the air and arrived in front of the demons of the 8th godly emperor layer in a flash. Fear, danger, these feelings surfaced in the hearts of the demons. The demons of the 8th godly emperor layer roared. Demon chi rose from their bodies and formed a dozen layers of defense in front of them. At the same time, they slashed their demon swords at Ling Yue's arrows. Boom, 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 the demons of the 8th godly emperor layer struck the arrows with their demon swords, but they couldn't stop the arrows. Their demon swords shook violently, and their hands were crushed. Their bones exploded, and their flesh and blood splashed. Their demon swords flew out of their hands. The arrows didn't stop, and hit their defenses. It was like a steel nail hitting a piece of tofu. The dozens of layers of demonic chi defenses on their bodies were instantly penetrated. The arrows pierced through their bodies. The demons of the 8th godly emperor layer were dumbstruck. They couldn't believe their eyes. Then, they gave horrible shrieks and their bodies exploded. They died on the spot. Ling Yue's Elven King Bao was as powerful as a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer. It was normal for a cultivator of the 9th godly emperor layer to kill a cultivator of the 8th godly emperor layer. After the demons of the 8th godly emperor layer were killed, Lu Ming and the others rushed to the left side of the wall. Lu Ming released a few gusts of wind towards the other demons. Dozens of demons were sucked in by the gusts of wind. You want to die? Die. At that moment, the other demons finally reacted, including the 2 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. Before, they had underestimated Lu Ming and the others. They had thought that Lu Ming and the others wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. When Lu Ming and the others attacked, they had reacted too slowly. Lu Ming and the others had killed many of their strong cultivators. At that moment, the 2 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer attacked furiously with their swords. The 2 saber gleams crossed a distance of thousands of miles and slashed toward Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Because Lu Ming and Ling Yue were the ones who had attacked a moment before. Oh no! Lu Ming and Ling Yue's faces darkened. Cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer were terrifying. Even though they had attacked first, they still couldn't escape from the attacks of cultivators of the 9th godly emperor layer. As soon as the other party attacked, a terrifying attack directly locked onto them, sealing off their path of retreat and unleashing a sure-kill attack. Ling Yue turned around, pulled her bowstring, and shot an arrow. A green arrow shot towards one of the blade lights. Chapter 4001. Ling Yue shot out an arrow from the elf palace that was stained with blood. However, this arrow of hers could only block a 9th layer divine emperor. The other 9th level divine emperor expert continued to slash at Lu Ming with his saber. The ice Xian rod appeared in Lu Ming's hand. At this time, it was time to fight with his life on the line, so he naturally couldn't hide it. Boom! The mysterious ice rod rapidly grew in size and swept out diagonally, colliding with the demon blade. 2 earth-shattering explosions sounded, and the attacks of both sides collapsed. All the evil demons present were shocked. Lu Ming and Ling Yue's attacks were actually able to block the attacks of the 9th layer divine emperor. It was truly terrifying. These are 2 peerless geniuses of the primitive universe. Killing them is definitely a loss for the primitive universe. That's right, their flesh and blood are definitely great supplements. The 2 9th layer divine emperor roared and pounced like lightning towards Lu Ming and the others. The 9th layer divine emperor realm demons were too fast. Lu Ming and the others couldn't escape even if they wanted to. They could only face them head-on. Boom! Lu Ming controlled the ice Xian rod, which turned into a huge rod the size of a mountain and swept towards a ninth-layer Divine Emperor Realm demon. As for Ling Yue, she once again pulled the Elf King Bao and shot an arrow. The attacks of both sides collided once again, evenly matched. However, Lu Ming and Ling Yue's expressions were very ugly. If this continued, their situation would not be good. Because when Lu Ming and Ling Yue controlled the great killing weapon, although they could erupt with the battle strength of the ninth-layer Divine Emperor Realm, they couldn't hold on for long. Every attack consumed a lot of energy. After a few moves, they would be exhausted. As for the two demons, they were genuine ninth-layer Divine Emperor Realm cultivators. Even if they fought for a few hundred moves, it wouldn't be a problem. This was their disadvantage, and also the disadvantage of the great killing weapon. After all, it wasn't their true strength. It was only used at a critical moment to save their lives. It couldn't be used for a long battle. Although it could erupt with terrifying destructive power, it couldn't be used for a long time. They couldn't defeat real cultivators of the ninth godly emperor layer. Back when they had destroyed the Flying Star sect, the patriarch of the Flying Star sect had been killed because the pavilion leader of the Moon and Clouds Pavilion had helped him. Lu Ming had suddenly released the strength of the ninth godly emperor layer and had caught the patriarch of the Flying Star sect off guard. Then, the pavilion leader of the Moon and Clouds Pavilion had seized the opportunity and killed the patriarch of the Flying Star sect. If Lu Ming were to fight the sect master of the Flying Star sect one-on-one, Lu Ming would definitely die. "You guys hold on, I'll set up the formation." Dandan roared. His body kept moving around. Endless runes flew out from his hands, feet, and even his body. They flew into the void and into the ground. The space between his eyebrows sparkled. There was a fluctuation that Lu Ming was familiar with. That was the fluctuation of the origin ancient characters. Dandan was setting up a formation. "All right, leave it to us. You set up the formation with all your might." Lu Ming sent a sound transmission to Dandan. At the same time, another powerful gust of wind rushed out from the Zephyr Pearl and rushed towards the demons in all directions. As for Lu Ming, he controlled the mysterious ice rod with all his might and smashed it towards the ninth godly emperor layer demon. Ling Yue also used all her strength to activate the Elven King Bao that was stained with blood. In the face of such a great battle, Hua Shui couldn't help at all. She could only worry. As for Dandan, he was completely focused on setting up the formation. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming and the expert of the ninth godly emperor layer exchanged a few blows. Although he blocked the opponent's attack, Lu Ming's face was still somewhat pale. They had already exchanged 4 or 5 moves. Lu Ming felt that the taboo energy had been severely depleted. If this continued, he wouldn't be able to withstand more than a few moves. On the other side, Ling Yue wasn't much better. Although she could hold on for a few more moves, she couldn't hold on for long. "I have to hold on." Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He could feel that energy was constantly gushing out from every cell in his body at an extremely fast speed. This was a sign that his potential was being forced out. Potential, when injured, when one's life was in danger, would be forced out. However, when under great pressure, one's potential could also be forced out. For example, right now, Lu Ming was under immense pressure. If they didn't stop the other party, they would die. One could imagine how great the pressure was. The potential in his cells continued to emerge and transform into Lu Ming's own strength. Relying on his strong willpower, Lu Ming exchanged 3 more moves with his opponent. "Are you done yet?" Lu Ming roared at Dandan. Soon, densely packed runes spread out from Dandan's body as he roared. Even as he spoke, he spat out numerous runes from his mouth. Boom! Lu Ming exchanged another move with the fiend of the ninth godly emperor layer. This time, Lu Ming's body shook violently. He almost couldn't hold the ice Xian staff in his hand. The bones in his arm were broken and blood flowed out of his mouth. Lu Ming had consumed a lot of energy. At that moment, even if he controlled the Ice Xian staff, his attack power was at its peak. It was difficult for him to block the enemy's attack. "Little boy, die!" shouted the fiend of the 9th godly emperor layer. He held the fiend's blade in his right hand and used all his strength to slash. His left hand stretched out and a fiend's claw grabbed Lu Ming. Lu Ming used all his strength to control the Ice Xian staff and blocked the attack. His body shook violently and he coughed up blood. However, Lu Ming didn't manage to dodge the fiend's claw completely. Even though Lu Ming used the Great Godly Wind technique to dodge, he was still swept by the enemy's claw and half of his body exploded. "Mu Yun!" shouted Ling Yue. She was extremely worried. She wanted to save Lu Ming, but at that moment, she couldn't protect herself. She was about to run out of strength. "All right." At this moment, Dandan let out an excited roar. Then, countless runes appeared in the sky and turned into a large formation. The deployment spell was dazzling and dazzling. A moment later, the lights turned into golden-armored giants. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of golden-armored giants appeared. Those golden-armored giants appeared out of nowhere and threw themselves at the fiends. The main ones were the two fiends of the 9th godly emperor layer. The two fiends of the 9th godly emperor layer were interrupted. "Piss off!" shouted the fiend of the 9th godly emperor layer who was fighting against Lu Ming. He raised his fiend's blade and looked at the golden-armored giants. Slash, 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 the fiend's blade landed on the golden-armored giants and made ear-piercing sounds. Surprisingly, it didn't pierce through the golden-armored giants. The golden-armored giants were sent flying away, leaving marks on their bodies. After the golden-armored giants were sent flying, more and more of them threw themselves at the fiends. Even though the golden-armored giants didn't have much offensive power, their defensive power was astonishing. They managed to block all the fiends' attacks. On top of that, the hundreds of golden-armored giants formed a thick and heavy metal wall, blocking all the fiends. However, the golden-armored giants wouldn't attack Lu Ming and the others. There are no advertisements on the website. Chapter 4002. "Let's go, this formation won't be able to hold them off for long," Dandan shouted. Without Dandan's shout, Lu Ming, Ling Yue, and the others knew what to do. The four of them turned into four streams of light and flew into the distance. "Damn it, kill! Get out of my way!" Those demon experts roared and attacked the golden-armored giants with all their strength. Finally, some of the golden-armored giants couldn't withstand the attack and were blown apart by the two 9th-layer Divine Emperor Realm experts. However, when these golden-armored giants exploded, other golden-armored giants rushed up. By the time they exploded, a large number of golden-armored giants and rushed out, Lu Ming and the other three had already disappeared. These demon experts had ugly expressions on their faces. They definitely can't go far. Spread the news and let the surrounding 9th-layer Divine Emperor Realm experts surround them with all their strength. We absolutely can't let go of the peerless genius of the chaotic universe. In addition, send the news to the prince. I believe the prince will definitely be interested. A 9th-layer Divine Emperor Realm demon expert issued an order. Lu Ming and the other three ran with all their strength. After running for an hour, they finally stopped when they were sure that they had completely shaken off the demon experts. "Mu Yun, are you alright?" Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming worriedly. At this moment, Lu Ming looked very miserable. Half of his body had exploded. His bones and internal organs were exposed. It was very horrifying. "Don't worry, I'm fine." Lu Ming smiled. His cells were constantly surging with power. His injuries were recovering at an astonishing speed. One could clearly see that his bones were automatically reconnecting. His wounds were quickly healing, and his spirit had become vigorous. "TSK, TSK, TSK, this vitality, kid, you are an unkillable cockroach." "No, you are even stronger than a cockroach, Dandan looked at Lu Ming and clicked his tongue in wonder. His eyes were full of shock. "You are the cockroach," Lu Ming said unhappily, but in his heart, he was also a little surprised. Dandan, this guy, had not seen him for a while, and his strength had soared a lot. Surprisingly, the deployment spell had been able to block the attack of a cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. Although those golden-armored giants did not have much offensive power, and Dandan had spent some time setting up the formation, it was still shocking enough. Lu Ming guessed that it had something to do with the Dandan's origin ancient character. Which origin ancient character did Dandan get? It's clearly related to runic arrays. Could it be the word array? Lu Ming pondered. He had once heard from the quantifying character manual that the origin ancient word formation was very mysterious. Once one mastered the origin ancient word formation, they could comprehend endless runes and formations from the word formation. When one cultivated to a high level, any formation would be at their fingertips. They could even set up a great killing formation that could destroy the heavens and the earth. It was incomparably terrifying. If Dandan had the origin ancient word formation, with the strength of the 2nd Godly Emperor layer, it wouldn't be strange for him to be able to set up such a powerful formation. The four of them rested there for a few hours. After a few hours, Lu Ming's injuries had healed. Lu Ming also realized that his cultivation level had increased, and he was about to break through to the 2nd Godly Emperor layer. My cells have at least 80% of their potential left. It's enough for a while, thought Lu Ming. His current 80% was on a completely different level from the 80% he had before. After breaking through to the Godly Emperor layer, the potential in his cells had increased tremendously. When Lu Ming had broken through to the Godly Emperor layer, he had absorbed 100 spiritual wood hearts and his potential had reached 100%. Previously, when Lu Ming was in the Yunhua Pavilion, he took some time to absorb the spirit wood hearts. He had absorbed a total of 3,000 spirit wood hearts before his cells were filled to the brim with potential. 3,000 spiritual wood hearts was 30 times more than before. Now, Lu Ming's potential was astonishing. As long as he continued to stimulate it, his cultivation level would continue to increase. Half a day later, Lu Ming and the other three had recovered to their peak state and were discussing their next plan. There shouldn't be so many demon experts in an ordinary tribe, but so many demon experts have appeared. Could it be that the 8th Snake Demon Kingdom has made a move? Lu Ming asked. It's very likely because it's very difficult for an ordinary demon tribe to dispatch so many experts at once. It's very likely that the 8th Snake Demon Kingdom has made a move, Ling Yue said. Everyone's expression turned serious. If it was the 8th Snake Demon Kingdom, they would have to be careful. If it's the 8th Snake Demon Kingdom, then those tribes will most likely become a trap. Next, we can only look for lone demons to kill, Lu Ming said. Leave it to me, I'll use the formation to investigate again. Dandan was about to make a move and set up a formation to investigate, but at this time, the faces of Lu Ming and the others changed. Because, from the right side, there was a violent sound of breaking through the air. There were strong cultivators approaching, and they were extremely fast. Not good, it's a demon, let's go. Lu Ming's expression was ugly as he shouted. Because, from the right side, a few demons had appeared. Those demons' chi was extremely terrifying. There were 5 demons in total. 3 of them had the strength of the 9th Godly Emperor layer, and the other 2 had the strength of the 8th Godly Emperor layer. Ling Yue, Dandan and the others also noticed the demon experts. Without thinking, they turned into streaks of light and rushed to the left. It's those little brats, don't even think about leaving, shouted those demons. They chased after Lu Ming and the others extremely quickly. Especially the 3 demons of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. Their speed was even more astonishing. They were quickly closing the distance between them and Lu Ming and the others. However, the distance between them was at least tens of thousands of li. They were too far away. The demons of the 9th Godly Emperor layer didn't attack because they were too far away. If they attacked, their power wouldn't be too great. They had to close the distance between them before attacking. However, all of a sudden, numerous runes and symbols appeared before them. Those runes and symbols turned into numerous spirit formations. Then, they condensed into numerous chains that wrapped around them. As it turned out, Dandan had already set up a formation in the air while she was flying. A trifling deployment spell wants to stop me? Break. Open. Shouted the demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. They raised their claws and tore the chains apart. Not only that, but the deployment spell also broke apart. After all, Dandan had set it up temporarily, so its power was limited. Of course, it couldn't stop 3 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer. But it wasn't completely useless. Their speed was still affected a little, and they slowed down a little. Just this tiny bit was enough. It was difficult for them to catch up with Lu Ming and the others. Fuck! Shouted the 3 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer furiously. They used all their strength to attack, but more and more deployment spells appeared in the air. None of the deployment spells could stop them, but they could slow them down a little bit. Because of that, the distance between Lu Ming and the demons was at least tens of thousands of li. Chapter 4003. Lu Ming and the others were flying, while Dandan was setting up a deployment spell. Even though the deployment spell had been set up temporarily, it could still block the fiends for a while. Even though it was only for a while, it was enough for Lu Ming and the others to escape. Every time the distance between the 2 sides narrowed, the fiends would be blocked by the deployment spell. Then, the distance between the 2 sides increased again, maintaining a distance of tens of thousands of li. Bastard. The fiends were furious. They were holding fiend blades in one hand and fiend claws in the other. Each time they attacked, the space collapsed. They destroyed Dandan's deployment spell, but in the end, they couldn't catch up with Lu Ming and the others. In the blink of an eye, they were hundreds of thousands of li away from each other. Suddenly, Lu Ming and the others, who were running away, were astonished. They sensed a powerful qi in front of them. At the same time, they sensed a dense demon qi. More fiends appeared in front of them. There were at least a dozen fiends in that group. 2 of them had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. Those fiends noticed Lu Ming and the others and charged at Lu Ming and the others. There were fiends in front and behind them, so they could only run to the right. Die. The 2 groups of fiends chased after Lu Ming and the others. There were 5 fiends of the 9th godly emperor layer and 20 fiends of the 8th godly emperor layer. They were terrifyingly strong. So many fiends were attacking together. Dandan's deployment spell was even weaker. Therefore, the distance between the 2 sides was getting closer. Lu Ming and the other 3 looked grave. If this went on, things would be bad. If they were overtaken, they would not be able to fend off the 5 experts of the 9th layer of the Divine Emperor realm. The 2 sides flew for another 100,000 li. The distance between the 2 sides was now less than 10,000 li. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A few fiends of the 9th godly emperor layer attacked. They slashed out with their fiend blades, which streaked across the sky. In a flash, they crossed 10,000 li and attacked Lu Ming and Ling Yuwei. Ling Yuwei was about to use her royal elf bow to block. Don't use your trump cards yet. Save your energy. I'll deal with it, Lu Ming said to Ling Yuwei. Then, he took out the Gale Pearl and continuously drew out the power within it. Hoo-hoo, the gale within the Gale Pearl continued to rush out, forming a wall of wind behind them. The demon's saber light slashed at the wind wall. Both sides exploded with a violent roar. In the end, the wind wall was forcibly broken. However, as both parties were separated by a distance of nearly 10,000 miles, the attacking power of the other party's saber gleam was not at its peak and had been greatly weakened. Although it had broken through the wind wall, its power had also dissipated. The remaining power was easily blocked by Lu Ming and the rest. Let's see how many moves you can block. Continue attacking. The 5 demons of the 9th godly emperor layer grunted icily and kept attacking. The saber light cut through the air, and the demonic claw tore through the void, pressing down on Lu Ming and the others. However, Lu Ming continued to draw the power within the Gale Pearl to block the attacks of the demon rankers. However, as the distance between the two sides shortened, it became more and more difficult for the Gale Pearl to block the other side's attacks. There was always a saber light that broke through the Gale wall and smashed towards Lu Ming and the others. The situation was becoming more and more disadvantageous for Lu Ming and the others. At this moment, the eyes of Lu Ming and the others moved. Because another group of creatures had appeared in front of them. But this time, it wasn't a demon, but an angel. A group of angels, and most of them were acquaintances of Lu Ming and the others. They were precisely the group of angels that had besieged Ling Yu Wei earlier. Of course, there were more people here. There were more than 20 of them. It was obvious that 2 groups of angels had gathered together. When these angels saw Lu Ming and the others, their eyes immediately burst with killing intent. It's Ling Yu Wei and that Mu Yun. We've met them again. This time, don't let them escape. Attack with all your might. These angels' killing intent surged, and they were about to charge towards Lu Ming and the others, but they were immediately stunned, because they discovered that after Lu Ming and the other 3 saw them, not only did they not escape, they even rushed towards them. What was going on? Seeing that they didn't leave, they even rushed towards them. Wasn't this courting death? But immediately, their expressions changed. This was because they had also discovered the demon rankers chasing after them. They finally knew why Lu Ming and the others were rushing towards them. It was because Lu Ming and the others were being chased by the demon army, and they were using them as shields. Damn it! Let's go! An angel roared, and all the angels turned around and left. They could naturally feel how terrifying the demons behind them were. There were a total of 5 demon kings of the 9th layer of the God Emperor realm. Although they had the strength of the 9th layer of the God Emperor realm, they were definitely not a match for these demons. How could they care about killing Lu Ming and the others? Brothers from the Angel clan, why are you running away? Stop! Let's destroy these damn demons together! Shouted Lu Ming. He quickly chased after the angels. Who's your brother? We're your enemies. Damn it! Hurry up and piss off! Shouted many angels furiously. But Lu Ming and the others had finally found some demons as shields. How could they leave so easily? Only by dragging the angels down with them would they have a chance to escape. The 3 groups of people were running at full speed. Lu Ming and the others were only a few thousand li away from the angels. Die! Some of the stronger angels attacked Lu Ming and the others furiously. Many angel divine swords slashed towards Lu Ming and the others, but Lu Ming and the others blocked them. Dandan, don't pay attention to the demons behind us. Go ahead and block the angels. Drag them down with you, said Lu Ming to Dandan. However, Dandan's eyes shone brightly. How do you know my name? Who are you? Dandan stared at Lu Ming. Nestle. Lu Ming scolded himself. He had let it slip out of his mouth in a moment of desperation. He was the one who came up with the name Dandan. Not many people would call him by that name. Dandan must be suspicious. But now was not the time to explain. I'll explain to you when we escape. Hurry up and attack. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Dandan. Hee hee. Dandan gave a few sinister laughs and cast a few meaningful glances at Lu Ming. Then, countless runes emanated from its body, surging into the void and disappearing. The 3 groups of people fought a battle of wits and courage. In the blink of an eye, they had flown thousands of li away. Block them. At this moment, Dandan shouted and formed a seal with both hands. Suddenly, a large array appeared in front of the angels. This formation condensed countless shining golden sabers and slashed at the angels' faces. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.